Chapter 1222. Coincidence. The southern mountains embraced a gentle, aqueous demeanor, adorned by blush-hued walls and the presence of Daiwa. Each family's abode faced the meandering river, and willow trees, blossoms, and verdant foliage dotted the surroundings. Although the time for birds to engage in their elegant dances and centaurea to burst into bloom had not yet arrived, the essence of spring pervaded the air. Weeping willows cascaded like cascades of silk, draping the branches in vibrant green hues. Early blooming flowers scattered across the landscape, their colors accentuated by the pink walls and tiled roofs. A bluestone bridge provided a vivid contrast amid this enchanting scene. The atmosphere held a slight moisture, yet it was crisp and pure. Strolling through the streets and alleys, one might capture a picturesque glimpse of the southern style with a simple handheld device. However, without their modern gadgets, the trio struggled to fully appreciate the spectacle. Their words of admiration flowed ceaselessly throughout their journey. Liqiu and Lixia, in particular, were overtaken by amazement, as if they had never beheld such exquisite southern scenery before. In contrast, Xiao, who had visited Jiangnan prior to her transmigration, found herself marveling at the disparity between the modernized, overdeveloped region she knew and the original water village she now explored. Internally, Xiao commended their unabashed enthusiasm. As the host, she possessed a wealth of knowledge and had no room to exhibit such emotional fervor. In her role as the master, she needed to maintain an air of composure, projecting a dignified image that commanded respect. Their footsteps led them unconsciously to the lakeside, where the scenery transcended even their previous experiences. An array of shops lined the shore, and the ancient pavilions exuded an exceptional level of sophistication, instantly discernible to those with discerning tastes. With dinner time approaching, fatigue set in for the three travelers. Xiao carefully selected a refined, upscale establishment named the Qing Lotus Garden, and ushered Liqiu and Lixiao inside. Silkworms and mulberry silk embroidery had thrived in the southern region, elevating women's societal standing, a testament to the timeless adage that the economic foundation shaped the superstructure. Whoever possessed wealth wielded authority. As a result, when Xiao and her servant entered the restaurant, neither the manager, nor the waitstaff, nor the other patrons found it unusual. The waiters extended warm welcomes and guided them to their seats with gracious smiles. Xiao had initially desired a private room, but the restaurant, owing to its renowned reputation and breathtaking scenery in Hangzhou, had limited private accommodations, which had to be reserved well in advance. However, the second floor of the establishment resembled a partitioned booth, adorned with strategically placed potted plants that stood at approximately half the height of a person. These plants served to create a discreet barrier, and the design displayed meticulous attention to detail. Xiao couldn't help but internally commend this southern venue. It seemed that even the restaurants in this region were far from frugal. With her maid in tow, Xiao requested a booth near the window, affording them a broad and beautiful view that evoked a sense of relaxation and contentment. This restaurant specialized in fresh and exquisite southern cuisine, with a particular focus on local dishes from Hangzhou. Upon hearing the waiter's proud and enthusiastic recommendations, Xiao ordered 3 servings of duck, rouge geese, steamed knife fish, 3 portions of shrimp tofu, large cooked dried shredded rice, along with a selection of special dishes. She also decided to try the waiter's suggestion of the small 3 fresh wonton. As Xiao and her companions settled into their seats, they noticed several scattered groups of diners across the dining floor. Maintaining a lower volume, they engaged in light conversation. However, their tranquility was disrupted when a loud banging noise emanated from the vicinity of the potted plants. A young man expressed his anger vociferously, exclaiming, "I simply cannot accept this. We are all gentlemen. How can we endure such favoritism?" Startled, Xiao and her companions, along with other patrons at nearby tables, turned their attention towards the commotion. The 2 other individuals at the young man's table quickly attempted to hush him, advising, "Brother Zhao, please lower your voice. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1223, Brothers. Yes, we're well aware of your past experiences with bullying. Please take your time, Xiao Xian reassured the individual. Xiao Xian had been present on behalf of the Zhao family, and upon hearing the name Zhao, her attention piqued, though she knew it wasn't the Zhao family she was meant to focus on. Young Master Zhao lowered his voice, but his anger remained palpable as he spoke. Brother Zhang, it's quite unusual that you don't resent me and instead choose to stand by my side, unlike those who constantly seek favor from others. Just wait and watch. The family business will ultimately be mine sooner or later. Brother Li and Brother Zhang humbly offered their consolation, with one of them sighing. I sympathize with Brother Zhao's situation. As the eldest son, you should rightfully be in charge of the family business. Why do your parents hold your brother in such high regard? He's already a mid-level manager in such a large workshop, while after several years of training, you're left managing just 2 small restaurants that require little involvement. I genuinely can't fathom what your father is thinking. In an outburst of frustration, Brother Zhao slammed his hand on the table again and exclaimed, That conniving scoundrel! He's the craftiest of them all. He constantly flatters me in front of our parents, tattling on me. Am I not allowed to make a single mistake? Isn't it normal to need guidance? Absolutely. You're right. Nobody's perfect. We all require guidance. Exactly. That's how we grow. While Brother Li and Brother Zhang attempted to console Xiao Xian, their words seemed to be stoking Brother Zhao's fiery emotions. He continued with a string of curses and sneers. That wicked bastard thinks he can take everything for himself and inherit the family business? He's delusional. Let's not forget, there's a legitimate son out there roaming around. He may not be promising, but he's the rightful heir. Just wait and see. When he returns, it will be quite a spectacle. Taken aback, Xiao Xian exchanged glances with Li Xia and Li Qiu, refraining from further comments. Could it be that they were fortunate enough to encounter Zhao Shu's brother? Was this referring to the concubine's eldest son? According to the information they had gathered, Zhao Yi and Zhao Zhai were both considered of intermediate intelligence, with Zhao Yi being perceived as the more intelligent and capable of the two. Additionally, he had the favor of Zhao Mu and Ms.Qin. However, they hadn't anticipated that the relationship between the two brothers was so strained. If this was indeed the case, it might simplify matters significantly. Before long, the dishes arrived, each one as visually appealing as it was delectable. Yet Xiao Xian's thoughts had shifted away from the meal. She was now eating absent-mindedly, her attention focused on the conversation at the adjacent table. The more she overheard, the more certain she became that this fiery-tempered brother was indeed Ms.Qin's son. Fortune seemed to be on her side. Zhao Zhai had been nursing a long-standing depression and had consumed enough alcohol to impair his judgment. This wasn't the first time he had exchanged heated words with his brother in the company of friends, so he spoke without restraint, displaying remarkable skill in venting his frustrations. When they departed, having had their fill of alcohol, Xiao Xian left in the company of Li Xia and Li Qiu. Upon their return to the lodging, Xiao Yunduan had yet to arrive. Xiao Xian took a soothing bath and freshened up, then advised Li Xia and Li Qiu to take a well-deserved rest while she awaited Xiao Yunduan's return. In the meantime, her thoughts continued to dwell on the Zhao family. The amenities at their disposal included readily available hot water and a variety of services, making things incredibly convenient, eliminating any need to burden the two girls with unnecessary chores. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1224. The Zhao Family. When Xiao Yunduan returned home, it was already late into the night. Despite appearing to have indulged in alcohol, he hadn't crossed the threshold into inebriation. With a warm smile, he greeted her, tenderly embracing and kissing her. Xiao Xian had initially planned to share the encounter with Zhao Zhai, but she ultimately decided against it. Summoning the hostel's waiter, they requested some hot water for a quick wash before retiring to bed. The next morning, Xiao Xian was pleasantly surprised to find Xiao Yunduan beside her. She beamed and remarked, "I thought you had business to attend to." Xiao Yunduan chuckled and held her close. No urgent matters, my love. We've just arrived, so we can afford a few days of respite. The prefect of Hangzhou would easily arrange assistance for their task, making it hassle-free. Moreover, the crown prince was well aware that this journey wasn't solely about collecting books, so there was no cause for concern. Xiaoxian agreed wholeheartedly. The geographical distance between them allowed them the luxury of time. She felt resolute about severing ties with the Zhao family as swiftly as possible. Xiaoxian recounted the previous day's encounter with Zhao Zhai to Xiao Yunduan. He smiled reassuringly. My dear, consider it a stroke of luck. I'm confident our mission will proceed smoothly. Those parents couldn't have raised any decent sons, and once Zhao Shu is out of the picture, those two brothers won't have a leg to stand on. Xiaoxian's smile mirrored his confidence. That's great news for us. During lunchtime, Sun Qian and Sun Bai returned home, accompanied by Uncle Qing. Aware of their presence in Yangzhou, Uncle Qing had journeyed from Hangzhou to welcome them and offer his assistance. Uncle Qing possessed a wealth of knowledge about the Zhao family and had established his own network in Yangzhou, making him a valuable asset in their endeavor. Xiaoxian inquired about the state of affairs in Hangzhou and received a positive report. Pleased with the news, she extended an invitation to Uncle Qing to stay. According to Sun Qian's information, Zhao Mu had experienced substantial business success in recent years, accumulating considerable wealth, and on course to become the wealthiest individual in Yangzhou. Zhao Shu had been absent from Yangzhou for an extended period, during which Ms.Qin, who now managed the Zhao family, had replaced most of the household staff. Ms.Qin had firmly instructed that no one in the mansion was permitted to discuss young master, and they were to be promptly sold off if discovered. Consequently, many within the Zhao family were oblivious to the existence of a young master. Their perception of the third young master was that of an eccentric, ignorant, unattractive, and frail individual who had been idle for years. They were uncertain of his return, speculating that perhaps he had encountered misfortune preventing his return. Zhao Mu displayed no concern for Zhao Shu's situation, remaining indifferent to his whereabouts. Meanwhile, Zhao Zhai and Zhao Yi harbored aspirations to claim a significant share of the family's business. Zhao Zhai's fortune took a downturn, as he failed to produce a legitimate heir. Although he had one son and one daughter, they were both born of concubines and faced health challenges. His son had physical disabilities with uneven legs, while his daughter exhibited slower cognitive abilities and developmental delays. In short, Zhao Zhai found himself in an unfavorable position, compounded by Ms. Qin's clear disapproval of him. 2 years prior, Zhao Yi married Ms. Zhou, who had given birth to a robust son just last year. The infant was fair, plump, and utterly endearing, earning the affections of both Ms. Qin and Zhao Mu. Ms. Qin, in particular, cherished her grandson deeply and held a strong fondness for Zhao Yi. Furthermore, Zhao Yi surpassed Zhao Zhai in intelligence, and the latter had endured severe mistreatment from his brother, especially in the past 2 years. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1225 Show. Zhao Shu was absent from home as he was paying his respects to his deceased mother, with the possibility of returning at any moment. The two brothers were well aware that they needed to secure control over the family's core assets before Zhao Shu's return, in accordance with Ms. Qin's intentions. However, the competition for heirship was intense, as everyone harbored aspirations for the position. It appeared that Zhao Yi had the upper hand in this power struggle. In order to counter Zhao Shu, Ms. Qin was bound to support Zhao Yi, indicating her abandonment of Zhao Zhai's claim. It was hardly surprising that this situation had left Zhao Zhai brimming with anger and grievances. Upon hearing about these developments, Uncle Qing experienced a mix of delight and frustration. Yet, Zhao Zhai and his brother were at each other's throats, which in a way, seemed justifiable. What vexed them was the absurdity of two concubine-born sons fighting over the Zhao family's assets while the rightful heir, their young master, was sidelined. Uncle Qing, however, felt fortunate for encountering Officer Xiao and Madame Xiao, who had inquired about the contract for the 100,000 mu mulberry fields. It went without saying that the old master would exercise caution when it came to allowing his young master to leave home during a period of filial piety. Meanwhile, Ms.Qin and her son would undoubtedly be eager to secure control over the 100,000 mu mulberry fields. This situation had the potential to become quite troublesome. Their young master might be compelled to withdraw, given his disadvantaged position in the face of his father's authority. Few would believe him except for Zhao Mu. The fact that Madame Xiao had obtained the contract was indeed a cause for celebration. Uncle Qing couldn't wait to witness the unfolding drama. "Officer, Madame Xiao, when do you plan to inform the Zhao family about the mulberry fields?" "Rest assured, Madame Xiao, I've already spoken with the managers responsible for the mulberry fields, and we will continue to carry out our duties diligently." Xiao Xian beamed at Xiao Yunduan. "Sweetheart, there's nothing to worry about. You can focus on your work, and I'll head to the mulberry field tomorrow, all right?" Her anticipation was reaching its peak. Xiao Yunduan grinned and agreed. "I'm afraid tomorrow might be a bit too soon. Perhaps the day after tomorrow would be better. You can have Sun Bai and Sun Qian accompany you, along with Uncle Qing, Li Qiu and Li Xia. Sun Bai and Sun Qian. You and Uncle Qing can even hire a few more hands to join you." A man wealthy enough to acquire 100,000 mu of mulberry fields all at once was bound to put on quite a spectacle. She was determined not to be outdone. She aimed to make the Zhao family realize that crossing her would be a grave mistake. That she believed was the most effective way to deal with people of their ilk. Xiao Xian nodded appreciatively and quipped, "Sweetheart, you're so considerate. Should I also pick up some new outfits for Li Xia and Li Qiu? Something extravagant, perhaps? Oh, and a set of eye-catching jewelry too." Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but chuckle, agreeing. Absolutely. Sun Qian and Uncle Qing proved highly efficient. They recruited over 10 young individuals clad in matching bamboo green attire, exuding an imposing and fierce presence. Li Xia and Li Qiu procured 2 sets of exquisite silk dresses for Xiao Xian. One was a rose-red ensemble adorned with intricate butterfly motifs, while the other featured violet hues embellished with broken branches and chrysanthemums. Both sets of clothing were intricately embroidered with gold and silver threads, featuring skillfully placed pearls that glistened brilliantly in the sunlight. Paired with a pleated skirt made from silver silk and snow satin, valued at hundreds of taels of silver, the overall effect was exceptionally opulent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1226. Prepared. They hesitated to make the decision, but ultimately, Xiao Yunduan accompanied Xiao Xian to purchase the ornaments. The entire set of ruby and sapphire jewelry came at a hefty price of 80,000 liang. In addition to that, she acquired several other ornate pieces worth over 5,000 liang. The selection ranged from an array of brocades, satins, silk garments, to various exquisite ornaments. Money seemed to have no limit when it came to satisfying one's desires. Even Xiao Xian, who had limited interest in such things, couldn't resist making some purchases. With everything in place, there was only one thing left to do. The next day, Li Xia and Li Qiu assisted Xiao Xian in getting ready. The transformation left them both stunned, as she radiated an aura of elegance and nobility. "Fifth madam, you look absolutely stunning. Why the solemn expression? You're positively regal. Yeah, you look incredibly chic. That's the epitome of elegance." The absence of mirrors in the hotel limited Xiao Xian's view, allowing her only to catch glimpses of her makeup and upper body. The dimly lit mirror didn't do justice to her appearance. Nevertheless, Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy, adorned in vibrant brocade and an abundance of pearls. She was truly a sight to behold. Li Xia chimed in. "Fifth Mrs. Yuezheng, you look splendid like this. We should dress you like this all the time." Xiao Xian almost stumbled, torn between laughter and tears. "Let's not overdo it. It's not very practical to dress like this." This attire was more suitable for formal occasions. All 3 maids shared a hearty laugh. With everything prepared, Uncle Qing and Sun Bai led her, accompanied by more than 10 servants. Xiao Yunduan, being a court official, couldn't openly participate in business matters today, so he wouldn't be joining them. He had initially planned to see her off, but a request from the prefectural office required his immediate presence. Before he departed, he offered Xiao a word of caution, which added to her nervousness. However, upon observing the presence of Uncle Qing and Sunbai, Xiao felt assured of her safety. Four opulent carriages set out toward the expansive 100,000 mu mulberry fields situated outside the city. This vast expanse of mulberry fields was no small domain. There were accompanying farms where both farmers and tenants resided, along with several overseers. Uncle Qing had arrived with his trusted team of managers. Although this visit was primarily ceremonial, Xiao and her entourage made their entrance into the farm with an air of pride, attracting the curiosity of onlookers. What's happening here? Who are these people? It's rather unusual, isn't it? Could young master be back? That might be the case. Whispers filled the air as people conversed among themselves, with some bold individuals even following to witness the spectacle. A few individuals concealed their true intentions as they joined the procession. When Uncle Qing descended from the fourth carriage, gasps of recognition resounded through the crowd. Uncle Qing. It's Uncle Qing. So, it's the return of the young master then? Indeed. Everyone was well aware of Uncle Qing's close association with Madame Zheng. Following Madame Zheng's passing, Uncle Qing and his wife remained devoted servants to the third young master. Years had passed since they last saw the third young master. And considering the deep friendship between Madame Zheng and the third young master, his arrival typically warranted joyful celebrations. However, this time, there were only exchanged glances laden with complexity, and nobody dared to display their happiness openly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1227. Who is that? The sprawling 100,000 mu mulberry fields appeared to be slipping from the grasp of third young master. Old master and second young master had frequented the area over the years, with second young master taking charge of the fields for the past 2 years. Rumors had circulated that second young master intended to sever ties with the tenants and farmers. Panic simmered beneath the surface, but there was little they could do. It was clear to all that second young master shared the same intentions as old master. Old master held a disdain for those who toiled for the Zheng family, and desired to select their own workforce. All eyes were fixated on the first approaching wagon, presuming it carried young master Zhao Shu. However, the wagon unveiled an unexpected sight. 2 exquisite maids emerged, followed by a handsomely dressed and charming young lady. And then, there was no one else. A collective shock rippled through the onlookers. Who could she be? I have no clue. Young master's wife? Impossible. I've never heard of him being married. Uncle Qing was so startled that he stumbled, shooting a stern look at the assembly before proclaiming, "Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Madame Zhao. Please refrain from idle chatter. Assemble your families, neighbors, and managers at the abbey immediately. I have crucial news to share. This concerns everyone, so don't delay any further." The announcement sent a wave of excitement through the crowd, prompting conversations to erupt. If it weren't for Sun Qian, Sun Bai, and several others known for their imposing stature and serious demeanor, they might have encircled Uncle Qing in their eagerness. After uttering those words, Uncle Qing paid no heed to anyone else, and proceeded to follow Xiao and her maid into the abbey. In a calculated move, the abbey's overseers, who had been discreetly contacted by Uncle Qing, feigned surprise and hurried to join the gathering. One by one, a multitude of individuals assembled in the courtyard, with more streaming in from outside. Among the tenants, a shrewd few had already surmised the situation upon witnessing Uncle Qing's discontented escort of the young lady. Though it seemed implausible, there was no other explanation. If that was indeed the case, then this development had direct relevance to them, compelling their swift attendance. In due course, the entire assembly had convened. Only then did Uncle Qing emerge from the room, taking his place beneath the eaves of the lofty steps. "Quiet, all of you." The murmurs subsided, and anxious gazes fixated on Uncle Qing. Over a dozen supervisors and managers stood behind him, their expressions inscrutable. Ladies and gentlemen, Uncle Qin declared loudly, the mulberry orchard has been acquired by Madame Zhao, and it now belongs to her. It is no longer associated with the Zheng family. Please remain composed. Uncle Qin gestured with his hands, compelling everyone to settle down. Listen to me. We have negotiated with Madame Zhao. The farmers and tenants will remain unaffected, and the management team will continue as is. Dedicate your efforts to Madame Zhao, and rest assured, as long as there are no ulterior motives, you need not worry. I can personally vouch for it. Can you place your trust in me? At this moment, a faint sense of reassurance washed over the crowd. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 12:28. New Owner. We have faith in you, Uncle Qin. Your trust means the world to us. Yes, I share that belief. We're committed to putting in our best efforts. Please, I implore you not to cast me aside. Without this place, I'll have nowhere to go. I hope Madame Zhao possesses the same compassion as Madame Zheng. But will Uncle Qin still have control over the mulberry garden? Can his assurances be trusted? Agreed. Yes, I share those concerns. Their conversations continued, with growing unease among them. Placing their trust in a young madam they had never met before was a daunting prospect. Some discreetly slipped away from the gathering, quickly departing. Uncle Qin raised his voice after saying what he needed to. Everyone, please be quiet. Madame Zhao has something important to convey. Please be quiet. She was their new proprietor. Almost instantly, a hush fell over the entire courtyard. Xiao Xian emerged from the room with assistance from Li Xia and Li Qiu. Sun Qian and Sun Bai followed closely behind. The remaining 10 or so attendants stood in formation on both sides of the corridor. The managers respectfully bowed and withdrew, their nerves palpable as they turned their attention to Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian stood her ground and cast a glance at the assembled crowd. She declared, Uncle Qin has already made it clear. From today onward, I am your new mistress. Just as he assured you, nothing will change in the mulberry garden, and operations will proceed as usual. Carry on with your work, and there will be no disruptions. To demonstrate my sincerity, I will maintain the name of Zheng's mulberry garden unchanged. The treatment for everyone will remain consistent. Furthermore, every year during Dragon Boat Festival, Mid-Autumn and New Year, each of you will receive 2 sets of cotton cloth, 5 kilograms of premium flour, 20 eggs, and 1 liang of silver. Manager Zheng, Manager Lin, please record this. This will be our annual tradition moving forward. When you receive these items, you will need to sign with your fingerprint in the ledger well maintained for this purpose. These provisions are for everyone, and anyone attempting to amass wealth at the expense of others will be promptly dismissed. Manager Zheng and Manager Lin, being the top 2 leaders of the mulberry garden, smiled and nodded in agreement. They had already conferred with Uncle Qin in secret, so their sentiments differed from the rest. However, they had not anticipated Madame Zhao's generous offer. But the impact was remarkably positive. The farmers and tenants, who had been harboring anxiety, erupted in joyful cheers as though they were celebrating a festival. Madame Zhao harbored no concerns. Madame Zhao, is this for real? Goodness gracious, we're not just farmers, we're shareholders too. Madame Zhao, we're shareholders too. And what about the children and elderly? Do they receive the same? Yes, can the children also benefit? Xiao Xian beamed. Please calm down, everyone is included. The elderly, children, and tenants, all will receive the same. Rest assured, this will commence this very year and continue annually. That's fantastic. Yes, that's absolutely wonderful. Madame Zhao is such a nice person. Everyone cheered. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 12:29. Benevolence. Xiao Xian smiled, her demeanor calm and composed, as she addressed the gathering. All right, that's all for now. Go back to your homes and attend to your duties. Just remember that, from this moment onward, I am your master. The mulberry garden is no longer associated with the Zheng family or the Zhao family. She continued, if there's anyone among you who wishes to remain loyal to the previous owner, you are free to leave. I won't stand in your way. The terms of your tenancy are clear. If the old owner wishes to reclaim you, they can do so at the original price. I won't create any obstacles. But if you choose to stay, you must acknowledge me as your master. If I discover any treachery or hidden agendas, I won't be lenient. Betraying one's master is an irreversible path, and I hope all of you will conduct yourselves accordingly. Now you may depart. Her words left everyone in the audience taken aback. They retreated quietly, no longer causing the commotion they had earlier. It was evident that their new master had a stern disposition and was not to be underestimated. Honesty seemed to be the best policy. After all, for those willing to work diligently, there were annual bonuses to look forward to, a pleasant surprise indeed. Nobody was foolish enough to walk away from such treatment. Once the tenants were reassured, Xiaoxian turned her attention to the estate's managers. She instructed the household staff to have them wait in the wing room, intending to meet with each of them individually. The first on her list was Manager Zheng, and Uncle Qing accompanied them. Xiaoxian held the contract in her hands, aware that she needed to deal with the local power broker tactfully. Zhao Mu had firmly convinced himself that the 100,000 mu mulberry garden was within his grasp. He was determined not to relinquish it easily, even if it meant resorting to unscrupulous tactics. In his mind, he couldn't afford to be seen as inferior to Madame Xiao, a newcomer to Hangzhou. Admitting such a status would subject him to ridicule from the local populace, a humiliation he couldn't tolerate any longer. Furthermore, the financial prospects were too enticing to ignore. With an annual income of more than 1 million liang, after accounting for expenses, there would still be a substantial profit, around 700,000 liang annually. No one in their right mind would reject such a substantial fortune. However, touching Xiaoxian would only invite her to retaliate in kind. As the saying goes, civilians should not engage with officials. While Zhao Mu might command respect and awe, he was still a civilian in Yangzhou. On the other hand, Xiao Yinduan held an influential position in the capital and was the crown prince's favorite. Ignorantly crossing paths with him would surely lead to Zhao Mu's demise. Xiaoxian, well aware of the potential dangers, remained vigilant, concerned that Zhao Mu might react angrily and attempt to sabotage the mulberry garden. Butler Zheng was in high spirits as he conversed with them. His mood lifted considerably. He was no longer as anxious as before, as he believed that kindness and the Zheng family's virtuous history would bring them blessings. Their ancestors seemed to be watching over young Master Yuezheng, allowing him to turn adversity into prosperity. As Xiaoxian continued to meet with about half of the managers, Zhao Mu, Zhao Zhai, and Zhao Yi finally made their entrance, accompanied by 30 page boys and servants. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1230. Driven away. A group of individuals hurriedly entered the scene. They proceeded directly to the main room. Zhao Zhai fixed a stern gaze on Sun Qian and Sun Bai, who stood in the corridor, and exclaimed loudly, "Who are you? What brings you to our mulberry garden? Leave immediately." Xiaoxian, startled by the loud and aggressive voice, glanced at the manager who was giving her a report. His anxiety was palpable. They were all aware that the old master, eldest young master, and second young master had likely engaged in some dubious activities within the mulberry garden, and news of their presence would surely reach others. A confrontation was inevitable. Xiaoxian pondered whether Madame Xiao would be able to handle the situation. Xiaoxian sneered and shook her head dismissively. She paid no heed to the commotion outside. Indifference was mirrored by Li Xia and Li Qiu. Zhao Yi, with a sardonic smile, raised his voice. "This is the Zhao family's mulberry garden. Kindly depart now, or we'll have to involve the authorities." It was clear to anyone with common sense that the Zhao family held considerable wealth in Yangzhou and maintained close ties with local officials, possibly even enjoying special privileges with the magistrate. While Zhao Ye's words appeared polite on the surface, They carried a far more potent and intimidating message than Zhao Zhai's loud outburst. Xiao Xian couldn't help but think that perhaps this was why her irritable brother struggled to secure a prominent position within the family, resorting instead to dubious companions for solace and complaints. Xiao Xian delicately lifted the teacup and savored a sip of her tea, her smile betraying her keen interest in the unfolding events. "How dare you? It seems you prefer the hard way." Zhao Zhai's voice seethed with anger as he made a move to storm into the room with his entourage. But he was abruptly halted in his tracks. Sun Qian and Sun Bai assigned 2 men to guard the doorway while leading the others forward, effectively blocking their path. Sun Qian spoke assertively. "Who let this unruly guest in? Show yourself out." Zhao Zhai's eyes widened in disbelief, stunned by the rudeness of the words. His fury reached a boiling point, and he impulsively slapped Sun Bai across the face. "You wretched scoundrel!" Sun Bai skillfully grabbed his hand, twisted it and shoved him, causing Zhao Zhai to stagger backward and collide with 2 servants, sending all 3 tumbling to the ground. The sound of knuckles cracking filled the air as Sun Bai eyed them coldly and spoke with unwavering composure. "This is my master's domain. Even if you intended to pay a visit, didn't anyone teach you the courtesy of knocking and conveying your message? Have you no manners? I will give you until the count of 3 to leave, or I will personally escort you out, one by one." Zhao Mu's anger trembled in his voice as he retorted. "Absurd! This mulberry garden belongs to our family. When did it become your master's? Who is your master, and why is he hiding from us?" Sun Bai ignored his questions and continued sternly. 1. You're being unreasonable. 2. 3. Take action. Understood. Sun Qian and Sun Bai took the initiative. A dozen men surged forward, compelling the Zhao family members to retreat. The Zhao family servants, in contrast, couldn't match the agility displayed by Sun Bai and Sun Qian. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1231, Sold. Sun Qian and Sun Bai alone proved formidable adversaries for the 30 servants of the Zhao family. As though swept away by an autumn breeze, the Zhao family, along with their masters and servants, were unceremoniously expelled from the premises, left writhing in discomfort outside the yard. Zhao Mu and his sons weren't spared from this humiliating ordeal. They too found themselves tumbling to the ground. "How dare they? This must be reported to the authorities. I'll ensure they face the consequences," exclaimed Zhao Mu, his flushed face reflecting his fury. Such humiliation had never before befallen him, and the presence of numerous tenants and farmers only exacerbated his disgrace. Zhao Zhai and Zhao Yi, equally incensed, extended their assistance to their father, all the while casting angry glares towards the yard. At this critical juncture, Uncle Qing hastily emerged from the yard, followed closely by Sun Bai. Uncle Qing respectfully addressed Zhao Mu and his sons. "Old master, what brings you here? I hurried over as soon as I heard the news, but I arrived too late." Zhao Mu and his sons fixed their steely gazes on Uncle Qing. "Zheng Qing, what is happening here? How did the mulberry garden change ownership? Where is Zhao Shu? Where is that disobedient son of mine?" Uncle Qing's tone remained composed as he replied. "Our young master has sold the mulberry garden to old Master Xiao and Madame Xiao. It now belongs to the Xiao family, with no ties to the Zheng family. I'm here with Madame Xiao for the official handover." "What did you just say? What? This cannot stand." Zhao Mu and his son were both left flabbergasted. "That ungrateful child. Ungrateful child." Zhao Mu bellowed in anger. "He sold off this substantial mulberry garden without consulting me? He has no authority in this matter. Where is he? Fetch him immediately." Observing the mixture of anger and heartache etched across Zhao Mu's face, Uncle Qing couldn't hide his satisfaction at the brothers' bewildered expressions. "Old master, young master is currently on a journey, and it will be some time before he returns. He assures you not to worry. He will return when the time is right," Uncle Qing explained, attempting to placate Zhao Mu's rising ire. Zhao Mu was so infuriated that he felt his consciousness waver. He cared little for his wayward son. His primary concern was the mulberry garden. A sprawling expanse of 100,000 mu was worth millions of liang. How dare he make such a monumental decision without consultation? How dare he? Perhaps he's too ashamed to face his family. Inform him that if he doesn't return immediately, he's not welcome back. I disown a son like him. Tell him to come home this instant. Uncle Qin fell into an uneasy silence. Zhao Yi suppressed his anger and spoke icily. Uncle Qin, you wouldn't want our younger brother to earn a reputation for squandering our father's wealth, would you? Something is amiss with the mulberry garden situation. It's only right for him to return home and provide a clear explanation. After all, he sold the mulberry garden for a significant sum, and it's not safe for him to remain outside. Who's to say he won't succumb to greed? Uncle Qin sneered. Young master has his own intentions. There's no need for your concerns. Zhao Yi responded with a contemptuous glance at Uncle Qin, but refrained from further comment. Zhao Mu's voice dripped with menace as he declared, Zheng Qing, if you fail to bring Zhao Shu back, be prepared for the consequences. I doubt you can protect him from the repercussions. Yet, the presence of Sun Bai weighed on Zhao Mu's mind, preventing him from coercing Uncle Qin to accompany him back to the Zhao family. He knew that in a confrontation he was the weaker party, which would only magnify his humiliation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1232 Furious. They had not anticipated this turn of events, catching them off guard and resulting in significant losses. Knowing when to hold M and when to fold M was crucial, and there was still a long journey ahead. Zhao Mu sneered and departed with the Zhao family, leaving in their wake a cloud of uncertainty. Uncle Qin spat in their direction, a sinister grin on his face. He muttered, just wait and see. Inside the room, the household staff had gathered. Butler Zheng voiced his concerns. Madam Xiao, old Master Zhao isn't likely to let this slide. The other managers nodded in agreement. Indeed, the Zhao family has deep roots in Hangzhou, and Old Master Zhao wields significant influence. Old Master Zhao and the magistrate have always been close. We must be vigilant against any underhanded moves or schemes from the Zhao family. Especially second young Master Zhao. Qiao Xian's admiration for Madame Zheng grew even stronger. The unwavering loyalty of these individuals to the Zheng family, even after her passing, was truly remarkable. Don't fret. Zhao Mu won't be able to stage a comeback, regardless of his ties with the magistrate. Despite her knowledge of the man's background and connections, Qiao Xian confidently stated this. Her assurance put everyone at ease. That's reassuring. If Madame Xiao says so, we have faith in her judgment. Yes. Qiao Xian smiled. However, I don't trust Zhao Mu and his son's ethics. I fear they may resort to underhanded tactics. Everyone, please be diligent and arrange for tenants to work in shifts. Keep a watchful eye everywhere, day and night. Be cautious of unfamiliar faces, and forbid strangers from entering the mulberry garden and the farm. Regardless, you must remain vigilant at all times and never let your guard down. In the event of such a situation, I will generously reward you. Her words stirred motivation among the group, and they all nodded in agreement. Even without the promise of a reward, they understood the importance of their vigilance. Any harm to the mulberry garden would jeopardize their livelihoods. Qiao Xian delegated the detailed responsibilities to Uncle Qin and Manager Zheng, entrusting them with the task. Without delay, she began spreading the news about the change in ownership of Ms. Zheng's mulberry garden. She emphasized that the silk might not be sold to Zhao Mu this year. Qiao Xian believed that once this information circulated in Yangzhou, Zhao Mu and his son would take action. Time was of the essence, and Qiao Xian couldn't afford to waste any more of it dealing with them. To maintain appearances, she rented a house and took the group to the mulberry garden. However, she secretly slipped out the back door with her men, leaving only 2 servants to stand guard. Within the mulberry garden, Sun Qian and his 7 followers remained, cautious of any potential schemes by the Zhao family. All was set, awaiting the Zhao family's inevitable move. As Qiao Xian's news rippled through the business community of Yangzhou, Chaos ensued. Everyone's initial reaction was one of disbelief. Is this for real? However, upon further consideration, the absurdity of the situation made it clear that it couldn't possibly be a joke. This had to be the truth. Conversations of various kinds were buzzing throughout the city. Some eagerly anticipated watching Zhao Mu's impending humiliation, while others were keen on contacting Madame Xiao to secure silk purchases. Meanwhile, a few took the opportunity to ridicule Zhao Shu for his profligate ways. But regardless of the specific motive, the majority were eagerly anticipating the upcoming spectacle. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1233. Pain. That event marked the pinnacle of the Hangzhou business world, possibly claiming the top spot in the annual rankings. A vast expanse of 100,000 mu of mulberry fields translated into a fortune worth millions of liang. A staggering display of generosity. Wealth beyond measure. The sheer opulence of it all. Zhao Mu seethed with anger, as did Zhao Zhai, Zhao Yi, and even Ms.Qin herself. Their fury stemmed from the fact that these extensive mulberry fields were the property of the Zhao family, and the idea of selling them to anyone else felt wholly unjust. It was an affront they could no longer endure. In this moment, Ms.Qin's thoughts finally turned to silk. Ever since Madame Zheng's marriage to Zhao Mu, not a single tael of silver had been spent on purchasing silk. But starting this year, the era of free silk was coming to an end. It would now be bought with hard-earned money, a colossal expense. What competitive edge did Zhao Mu possess then? In a mere 2 years, his title as the wealthiest individual in Hangzhou seemed destined to slip away. Unthinkable. Upon hearing her youngest son's words, Ms.Qin's reaction was nothing short of a shriek, as if she had been cut to the core. Impossible. How could he dare? A sprawling 100,000 mu of mulberry gardens, worth over 1 million liang. Ms.Qin could hardly catch her breath, so much wealth slipping away. Zhao Shu had no right, selling them all and absconding with the money. The mulberry gardens belonged to the Zhao family, not him. Why would he even think of selling them? You two brothers have nurtured them all these years while he did nothing. What did the old master say? We can't let this go easily. He has no authority over the mulberry gardens. Zhao Ye's voice carried a dark undertone as he muttered. Uncle Qing is here as well. He's got the contract, and Dad is powerless to intervene. We're just waiting for third brother to return home, and hear his perspective on this. Ms.Qin inquired. Uncle Qing is here too? Why didn't you bring him back home? Your father is utterly bewildered. Zhao Yi hesitated, then faltered in his response. He felt a deep sense of shame, making it difficult to voice his reasons. It wasn't that he didn't want to retrieve Uncle Qing or confront him. He simply couldn't resort to force, and the situation had caught them off guard. Their lack of preparedness was deeply frustrating. Ms.Qin's countenance darkened, and she suddenly sneered. In my view, it might be better if that person never returns. His absence would make dealing with this matter much simpler. Zhao Yi was taken aback by this statement. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in Ms.Qin's eyes as she continued. I suspect we've all been deceived by Uncle Qing. What? Zhao Yi was utterly bewildered, struggling to comprehend his mother's thoughts. Ms.Qin exuded confidence as she sneered again. The 100,000 mu of mulberry fields are our rightful property. No matter how disobedient that person may be, he couldn't have sold the properties so abruptly. I believe Uncle Qing must have conspired with outsiders to steal the mulberry garden deed from old Master Xiao and Madame Xiao. Otherwise, when Uncle Qing appeared, that person would have vanished. Uncle Qing has always been close to that person. He must have committed some grave misdeeds and returned here secretly, fearing retribution from that bastard. He likely handed over the contract to someone outside the family and profited handsomely. When he absconds with the money, where will we find him? He'll be Rui's favorite. Zhao Yi pondered this for a moment. What do we do then? Ms.Qin replied with determination. It's simple. We report this to the authorities, have Uncle Qing and the Xiao couple arrested, and interrogate them. Zhao Ye's eyes were sparkling. He could not help but feel happy. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1234. Trick. Fantastic. That was the way it had to be. The magistrate had a strong alliance with them. As long as this man was brought within 500 meters of the government office and interrogated individually, he could extract any confession he desired. Since Uncle Qing had stolen the contract, it was time to restore it to its rightful owner. Even better, the contract now rested securely in their hands, officially designating the mulberry garden as Ms. Zheng's. This would resolve her father's predicament. Zhao Yi could vividly picture the day when Zhao Shu returned and discovered that Ms. Zheng's mulberry garden had transformed into Ms. Zhao's. He would undoubtedly be infuriated. Zhao Yi bowed deeply to Ms.Qin. "Mom, you're brilliant. That's a fantastic plan. I'll inform Dad immediately." Ms.Qin smiled with pride. "Then go swiftly. We must act promptly to prevent them from growing too complacent." "Understood, Mom." Zhao Yi rushed off to locate Zhao Mu. Zhao Mu was elated to hear the news. The more he contemplated it, the more convinced he became that it was the truth. No wonder that disobedient son was hesitant to sell off the family's negative karma. It's all because of those servants. Those lowly servants are all driven by greed. It's not surprising that they would resort to such actions. "Dad, may I visit the government office personally?" Zhao Mu pondered for a moment. This situation involved robbery and intimidation. They all knew that the Zhao family must have acquired 100,000 mulberry fields. As the head of the family, Zhao Mu couldn't directly handle such matters, so he had entrusted his junior to take care of it. He feigned ignorance about the unfolding situation. In case an actual crisis arose, she possessed the ability to turn the situation to her advantage. He nodded and instructed, "Take 3,000 liang with you. Rest assured, it will be well worth it." A few thousand liang could secure 100,000 mu of mulberry fields, resulting in profits exceeding 10,000. Excited, Zhao Yi eagerly set off. His first stop was to find a strategist named Yang. Strategist Yang had always maintained a favorable relationship with the Zhao family, often leveraging the family's resources to his advantage. However, when Zhao Yi disclosed the current predicament, strategist Yang's heart skipped a beat. Magistrates in Jiangnan were not known for their naivety, and their strategists were no exception. They possessed their own discerning judgments regarding what was feasible and what wasn't. Strategist Yang couldn't help but mutter curses at the Zhao family for their audacity and greed. Most critically, their plan lacked foresight. Who concocted such an ill-conceived scheme? 100,000 mulberry fields. It was an exorbitant acquisition that no ordinary family could manage. The Zhao family was undoubtedly behind this endeavor. While the Zhao family may have taken advantage of the landlord, they couldn't simply turn a blind eye to the situation. Arbitrary arrests could lead to disastrous consequences. What if they apprehended the wrong individuals? It would jeopardize Old Master's career. But 1,000 liang was a huge amount, and Zhao Yi even hinted that he would give strategist Yang a huge amount of money, which made strategist Yang feel quite motivated. He did not agree directly. Instead, he replied vaguely, "It depends on you, officer. You can make the decision." Zhao Yi was asked to leave temporarily. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1235. Stupid. Zhao Yi was gripped by anxiety, yet he grasped the gravity of the situation at hand. Patience was his only recourse. The weight of parting with 1,000 liang without any return gnawed at him incessantly. Strategist Yang returned to the official, who responded with a sly, enigmatic grin, leaving Yang feeling bewildered and strangely unsettled. The official calmly remarked, "If the Zhao family truly harbors suspicions, we can forward the document to the government office. They, in turn, can dispatch someone to retrieve Zheng from the mulberry garden, and I shall personally oversee this investigation." Strategist Yang faltered. Why did he have the nagging feeling that he was missing something in the official's words? "Officer, please pardon my ignorance, but this case..." He simply couldn't fathom the intricacies of this situation. The officer had already gleaned from Xiao Yunduan that Madame Xiao was the purchaser. However, Officer Xiao had urged him to maintain secrecy, a directive he intended to honor. The officer took satisfaction in his strategist's inquiries. He retorted with a sneer, "The Zhao family's internal affairs are their own concern. The buyer holds a valid contract, and the mulberry fields are now rightfully theirs. Is that not logical? The Zhao family should confront young Master Zhao to ascertain the truth. Yet they persist in accusing Zheng of theft. Is it not absurd? 100,000 mulberry fields. The monetary stakes are astronomical. The Zhao family is audacious to engage in such machinations." Strategist Yang's expression underwent a transformation. He had entertained such thoughts previously, but after hearing the officer's words, he found them increasingly dubious. It appeared that the officer's intent was to let them proceed unchecked, allowing them to pursue their hidden agenda. After some contemplation, Strategist Yang surmised that Madame Xiao and her spouse possess formidable connections. The officer, he concluded, must be aware of this but was unwilling to divulge the truth to him. As the strategist, he possessed a keen awareness of what he needed to know and what was better left undisclosed. He held no suspicions that the officer was concealing information from him. Respectfully he acknowledged, "Certainly, officer, I understand." Strategist Yang promptly conveyed this to Zhao Yi. Without hesitation, Zhao Yi drafted the necessary document and entrusted it to Strategist Yang for delivery to the officer, scheduling the retrieval of Zheng from the mulberry garden the following morning to avoid any potential flight. With a mischievous grin, Strategist Yang artfully negotiated an additional 300 liang from Zhao Yi before acquiescing to the task. The Zhao family had no inkling of the caliber of opponents they were entangling with, nor did they comprehend the gravity of their forthcoming actions. Their opportunities for such profiteering would be exceedingly limited henceforth. Moreover, second young Master Zhao's miserly demeanor was evident in the mere 1,000 liang he had offered, despite orchestrating a scheme that could yield millions in return. His stinginess justified the unscrupulous tactics employed in pursuit of maximum gains. Strategist Yang delivered the document to the officer, who received it with a smile and issued instructions for Zheng retrieval from the mulberry garden the next day. Zhao Yi remained keenly attentive to these developments, embracing the news as if he had stumbled upon a treasure trove. He boasted of his accomplishments to both Ms.Qin and Zhao Mu, emphasizing his remarkable prowess. Zhao Mu, in turn, felt a deep sense of pride and extolled Zhao Yi's abilities. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1236. Infight. Ms.Qin's face lit up with joy. Once we secure the mulberry garden, we can finally bring that rascal home. He's holding on to a substantial amount of money, and we can't allow him to keep it without compensation. It rightfully belongs to us. Zhao Yi fully supported his mother's sentiments, seeing nothing amiss in her words. He nodded in agreement. The thought of the fortune in Zhao Shu's possession troubled Ms.Qin deeply. Mother is absolutely right. We must bring him back. Zhao Yi was determined not to let him exploit their situation. The entire family shared in this sweet dream. The next day, they couldn't openly visit the mulberry garden to observe the situation, so they dispatched trusted servants to discreetly keep an eye on things. When Uncle Qing was taken into custody by the authorities, he appeared remarkably composed and cooperative. Instead of being forcibly apprehended, he willingly entered the carriage. Zhao Yi and Ms.Qin couldn't help but feel disappointed upon hearing this news. In their imagination, Uncle Qing should have been escorted out of the mansion by guards. Why are they treating him so courteously? It's astonishing. Money certainly changes everything. He must have spent a considerable sum on his treatment, Ms.Qin remarked, drawing her conclusions. After a brief discussion, Zhao Mu and his son found themselves in agreement. Zhao Zhai sneered and directed his words at Zhao Yi. You're trying to save face too, aren't you? You told strategist Yang yesterday that no amount of money is enough for Zheng. Zhao Yi smiled confidently. Our victory hinges on delivering them to the authorities, the rest doesn't matter. We can demonstrate our generosity once they're in government custody. Zhao couldn't hide his frustration, feeling his irritation surge. This rascal was always so composed and self-assured. And he had a justification for everything he did. It was infuriating. Each time he attempted to undermine him, it seemed like he was the one getting torn apart. When he was feeling so annoyed, his parents nodded in agreement. Yi is right. That is true. Zhao Yi said. Actually, I don't know anything. It is my parents who tell me about this. They taught me well. He was so modest. Zhao took a deep breath and sneered. But only Zheng Qing was taken away from the governmental office, not the Xiao family. Madame Xiao and even the servants from the Xiao family were not taken away. Are you sure that you and strategist Yang have explained everything clearly? Ms.Qin could not stand that anymore. She frowned. What do you mean, Zhai? Your brother has been working so hard to get the deal done. And you think he is not satisfied? You are picking on him on purpose, aren't you? Zhao Yi added. Mom, that is not what I meant. Don't misunderstand me. Zhao could not stand that anymore. He got up and glared at Ms.Qin. Yes, he is good at everything, and I am not good at anything. What is he trying to do? I can do these things too. Did you let me do them? He gets to do all the good things, pushes all the trouble to me, and lectures me for being stupid and unreliable. You can just drive me out of the family if you don't like me. Now you are satisfied, aren't you? What are you talking about? Ms.Qin shivered in anger. Zhao Yi added. Brother, stop it. Mom will be so sad if you do that. Apologize to Mom. Shut up, you two-faced double-dealing. Zhao could not stand that anymore. He pointed at Zhao Yi and cursed. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1237. Learning. Zhao Yi looked so aggrieved. He wanted to say something but stopped. He became even more aggrieved, which made people feel even more distressed. Zhao got even more annoyed seeing him like this. He sneered. What are you looking like this for? People might think that I have done something to you. You have learned a lot from Mom. It is no wonder Mom loves you so much. You. Zhao Yi felt so embarrassed. He could not stand that anymore. Ms.Qin got stabbed and snapped. Just shut up. You are just talking nonsense. Zhao flushed too. He knew that he had said something wrong, and he felt guilty. But he was not going to apologize. He was not going to do that. But he did not dare to stay any longer. And he cursed as he left. Ms.Qin got so angry that her eyes turned red. What is wrong with him? How did he become like this? Zhao Yi forced a smile. Mom, he did not do that on purpose. Don't take it to heart. Ms.Qin snorted and felt even more disgusted by her eldest son. Zhao Mu frowned and could not help but look at Ms.Qin thinking. Ms.Qin panicked and subconsciously tried to suck up to him. But on second thought, she realized that she was the only one with a son, and her son even had grandchildren. So what if she was not the official wife? She was not in charge, and she had not the say in everything. She was not like before. She should stand up straight and be on equal footing with Old Master. She did not need to suck up to him. Old Master, do you think we will be promoted to the next level today? We should be able to make a decision soon, right? Ms.Qin changed the topic directly. Zhao Mu was absent-minded as if he had not heard that. Ms.Qin called him Old Master a few times before he realized what was going on. Hearing Ms.Qin's words, Zhao Mu waved his hands in irritation. The governmental office has their own conclusion, and the officer knows what to do. We will just wait and see. For some reason, Zhao Mu felt a bit uncertain. He had a hunch that he had made the wrong move. Would this plan really work? They seemed to have a sure bet, a shoo-in. But one thing was missing: the other party's background. Their rival could afford to buy 100,000 mu of mulberry fields, and they did not care about his identity as the richest man in Hangzhou. They must have something up their sleeves if they dared to attack the Zhao family like this. But he was so furious the day before. He had never been humiliated like this before, and he could not stand that anymore. His son Zhao Yi was too fast, and before he could calm himself down, he had already gone to strategist Yang at the governmental office and confirmed the whole thing. So he had no choice but stop saying anything more. Otherwise, he would be so humiliated when he made the complaint at the governmental office. Also, Madame Xiao was so annoying. She came to the Zhao family as soon as she arrived at Hangzhou, and she did not even care about the Zhao family's reputation. He needed to have a long-term reputation here in Hangzhou, alright? She was going to cause him so much trouble, but he was going to let her know that the Zhao family was not to be trifled with, and he was not going to be humiliated by anyone. He felt that his son was right. What they had thought of so far was the best solution. It was a warning, a first-step thing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1238. Intuition. As long as he watched closely, he believed that things would go out of control. Maybe he could really take over the 100,000 mulberry gardens. 100,000 mu. That was a mulberry garden worth millions of liang a year. Zhao Mu could not help but feel motivated. Zhao Mu thought for a while and decided to take the initiative. They might as well take a risk on it. He soon picked a few precious antiques worth more than 100,000 liang from the shared accounts, and went to the governmental office to visit the officer. Unexpectedly, Zhao Mu failed to meet the officer this time. He waited in the back hall for a long while, but one manager from the mansion of the prefectural magistrate came. The manager was very friendly and showed a smile, saying that the officer had been busy with work and was not free these days. He asked him to return after a few days. Zhao Mu had a very bad feeling in his heart, and he felt very uneasy. He was able to expand his business to this extent because he was not an idiot. He must be a capable and smart person after all. A smart person's intuition was always very sharp. Like now, Zhao Mu smiled and said that officer's work was more important, and he would be here in a couple of days. Then he pretended to ask about the case of the Zhao family's traitorous slave, Ms.Qin. When would the trial start? He wondered if he could get someone to pass on the message to him. It would be so annoying if he was not punished badly. The manager did not say anything more. He just smiled, indicating that he had no idea what was going on. Zhao Mu's heart sank. He had a bad feeling about this. But he could not ask any more. They had no choice but to leave. He needed to have a good discussion with his two sons. If the plan failed, someone needed to take the blame. And they needed to be prepared for this. Zhao Mu did not hesitate. He decided to push his eldest son, Zhao Zhai, to take the responsibilities. He was going to talk about this with his second son. And then he was going to tell his eldest son about this. Zhao Mu had never thought about whether his eldest son would be willing to do so. He was a father and he had the right to do so. How could he turn him down? He was not going to be a bad son either. Unexpectedly, when Zhao Mu hurried back to the mansion and returned to the study, he ordered someone to fetch Zhao Yi. The page boy returned and reported, "Old master, second young master is not at the mansion." Zhao Mu frowned and looked displeased. He is not at the mansion? He has no priorities. Where else can he go? Get someone to find him. Yes, old master. The page boy got startled. He had no idea why old master would be so angry about such a small thing. Soon the page boy returned. Old master, the gatekeeper said that someone from the magistrate's office came and asked second young master to join them. What? Zhao Mu got startled and snapped. Why didn't you say so earlier? What are you standing there for? Get the housekeeper here. And young master, go now. The page boy panicked and almost got weak in the knees. He staggered and went to find someone. Zhao Mu said to the housekeeper seriously, "Go to the governmental office and find out why they asked second young master to join them. If there is any news, report it to me now." The housekeeper was at a loss, but he could tell that his master was really anxious. So he nodded and hurried away. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1239 Trial. Zhao Mu had been waiting for Zhao Zhai to arrive home. He interrogated Zhao Zhai and found out that Zhao Zai had gone somewhere else. He had already sent some men to look for him, but they would not be able to find him anytime soon. Zhao Mu got furious. This unfilial son. He is getting more and more unruly. Hurry up and find him. Send more people to find him and bring him back. Zhao Mu, who had been feeling a bit guilty about pushing his elder son to take the blame, suddenly felt less guilty. He felt that it was totally reasonable. That son of his was not motivated at all. What had he done to the family? Apart from this, what else could he do? At the governmental office, not long after Uncle Qin was taken back, the officer put up the notice, ready to be promoted to the court for public interrogation. When the trial started at the governmental office, many people came to watch the show. In this case, the plaintiffs and the defendants had to be present. So they sent someone to deliver the paper to Zhao Yi at the Zhao mansion. Zhao Yi was very confident that his family would win the lawsuit, but he did not want to go to the governmental office to confront Uncle Qin personally. It was not a good place for innocent people to visit the governmental hall. Zhao Yi asked his manager to make a trip there, but the constable was very polite, and he was also very unyielding. He did not make an exception at all. They insisted that it was the officer's order. The officer asked second young master Zhao to go there. So should second young master Zhao leave on his own or be asked to leave by him instead? Zhao Yi was a little angry. He was cursing the constable inwardly. So stupid people. How dare he talk to him like this? He was going to find out who this constable was from strategist Yang. If he did not kneel down and kowtow, he would not be the beloved son of the richest man in Hangzhou. He was just a constable, and he had no idea what he was up to. But he was a public servant, and Zhao Yi had no choice but to cooperate. Otherwise, if he turned him down, he might be taken away by force. That would be so embarrassing. Zhao Yi came to the hall and glared at Uncle Qin, sneering proudly. Uncle Qin lowered his eyes, sneering as well. This young master simply had no idea that he was going to be in trouble. True, Ms.Qin was a low-class person, and the children she gave birth to and raised could not be that smart at all. They only knew how to play tricks. Soon it was time for the case trial. Zhao Yi did not want to kneel down, but the prefect had no intention of letting him do so. He did not dare to ask for anything in public, so he had to kneel down accordingly. He just consoled herself inwardly. Officer was just putting on a show. He was just putting on a show so that he would not be blamed for being biased. Officer, you are so considerate. But gradually, Zhao Yi felt that something was wrong. When the officer interrogated Uncle Qin about how he stole the contract from his master, Uncle Qin denied everything. The commoners who were watching the show were all shocked. After all, not everyone was so well informed. They only learned about this now. Oh my God, 100,000 mulberry fields? Did I hear that right? Stealing the contract? How dare they do so? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 540. Chapter 540. What does it mean to kill and punish the heart? Seeing Jiang Xiaobai charging at them with their own eyes, the three of them were terrified, their scalps tingling, and every single hair on their bodies standing on end. Terror, the terror of death. Jian Wuhui was the first to react. He was not willing to die under Jiang Xiaobai's sword just like that. Starry swordsmanship. Suddenly, Jian Wuhui roared with courage, mobilizing all his spiritual power to confront Jiang Xiaobai head-on. But what no one expected was that when Jian Wuhui applied all he had learned throughout his life, he astonishingly failed to block Jiang Xiaobai's effortless stab. Thud. Jian Wuhui's attack had no effect on Jiang Xiaobai whatsoever. On the contrary, Jiang Xiaobai's sword effortlessly pierced through his energy center. He instantly felt like a deflated balloon, with a somewhat shrinking feeling. At that instant, a flood of emotions welled up in his heart. Jian Wuhui understood. This was deep despair. And after despair, what followed was surprisingly anger, because he saw Ouyang Haohai and Li Shi running away. At the moment when Jian Wuhui resisted, the two of them instantly made their choice. They chose to run for their lives. Jian Wuhui's heart filled with hatred. Damn it, damn it. Jian Wuhui was unbearably furious, spitting out blood and stumbling to the ground. Despite everything, his eyes were filled with resentment. Not only hatred and fear of Jiang Xiaobai, but even more so, towering anger at the cowardly behavior of those two bastards running for their lives. They are just spineless. After disabling Jian Wuhui, Jiang Xiaobai did not kill him but simply glanced at the direction where the other two were fleeing. If you want to run, you might as well confront me head-on. Perhaps if you two join hands, you might have a chance of survival. Jiang Xiaobai lightly said, and immediately after, his figure instantly turned into a flash of sword light and disappeared from the spot. The two who were fleeing in front seemed to feel something, and turned to look back simultaneously. Goodness, in an instant, both of them felt their scalps explode. What caught their eyes was a red long sword that was continuously enlarging. Thud. In an instant, the energy centers of the two fleeing men were easily pierced by Jiang Xiaobai. The two of them were dumbfounded. They didn't even have the chance to fight back. They didn't even dare to fight back. Was their cultivation going to be ruined just like that? Jiang Xiaobai, you bastard, you ruined my cultivation. I'm going to kill you. Li Shi immediately spat out blood as he roared in anger. But facing this impotent fury, Jiang Xiaobai's face did not show any ripples, his eyes were deep and calm. The two of them lost their spiritual power, and had already become wastes. Other than lying on the ground like a dead dog, there was nothing else they could do. There was a hollow frustration in both of their eyes. They were unwilling. The realms and powers they had painstakingly cultivated were effortlessly ruined by Jiang Xiaobai. This felt even worse than being killed. Gentlemen, don't worry, this is just the beginning. Jiang Xiaobai threw the three of them together, a cold smile appearing on his face. However, the three of them were already completely numb. Their hearts wouldn't ripple anymore. They knew that they were thoroughly finished. And Jiang Xiaobai didn't pay any attention to them. With a wave of his hand, a flash of golden light passed by, and the three of them were taken into the pagoda. What Jiang Xiaobai wanted to do was far from over. The essence of killing the mind and heart is that what you do is more painful than killing them. After all this had been done, Jiang Xiaobai's heart was extremely calm. He didn't feel any pleasure. He knew that all of this was due to the scheming of the sects behind these people. Without the backing of the sects, these people amounted to nothing. And since they dared to do this, they should be prepared to bear the consequences. He coldly glanced around. None of the people from the major power alliances dared to step forward. They were shouting just a while ago about wanting to kill Jiang Xiaobai, but now they didn't even have time to run. If even the people from the holy city were not Jiang Xiaobai's opponents, what gave them the confidence? Jiang Xiaobai did not pay attention to this. His level was no longer here, and it was a waste of his feelings to compete with these people. There was no need at all. Different levels, different dimensions, naturally have different feelings. In Jiang Xiaobai's eyes, all these people could be easily erased with a wave of his hand, but he didn't bother to do so. It would be a waste of time and unrewarding. Especially, Jiang Xiaobai took a special look at his reputation panel. Sure enough, his negative reputation had reached over 13,000. What shocked Jiang Xiaobai even more was that his regular reputation was also holding up, already about to break through the 9,000 mark. Moreover, Jiang Xiaobai found that the points generated by these two categories of reputation were not uniform. The gain from this was truly terrifying. It's a bit of a pity, there weren't enough people, not enough for me to kill. Jiang Xiaobai sneered. However, the issue was resolved. He put away everything, then turned to look in the direction of the holy city. All of you better wash your necks and wait. Holy city, I'm coming for you soon. Jiang Xiaobai thought to himself, then immediately set off. The people from the surrounding alliances had already scattered and fled far away. Who would dare to provoke Jiang Xiaobai? Now they only hoped that Jiang Xiaobai would not chase them. And the events that happened here today have spread outwards at a terrifying speed. By the time Jiang Xiaobai arrived at the pawn shop of White Crane in Cliff City, almost all the people in the northern state knew about it. Such speed. Everyone was shocked. Why was Jiang Xiaobai so strong? He was only at the late stage of dividing the gods. And the spread of the news also represented that Jiang Xiaobai had swept another wave of reputation. His gains were great, but Jiang Xiaobai did not feel any pleasure. When he met Ao Yin and others, he found that they were looking at him with fearful eyes. Ao Yin even rushed up to hold Jiang Xiaobai's hand. "What's wrong with you? Are you injured?" As she spoke, Ao Yan's eyes became red. "You don't know how worried I was about you. Why did you have to show off alone?" Hearing Ao Yan's worries, Jiang Xiaobai's heart finally calmed down a bit, and he also chuckled bitterly at the same time. He gently reached out and stroked Ao Yan's face. "Don't worry, I'm fine." Jiang Xiaobai laughed lightly, seeming to be relaxed. Perhaps only in front of Ao Yan and others could he feel much more relaxed. Next, he released Husing from the pagoda, and Husing, having taken some medicine, was more or less back to normal. The moment he came out, his eyes were red, and he clenched his teeth tightly, gripping his fists as he looked at Jiang Xiaobai. Fortunately, he didn't see any injuries on Jiang Xiaobai, and it was only then that he heaved a sigh of relief. At this moment, White Crane appeared on the side. He first looked at Jiang Xiaobai, seeming to feel something, his eyebrows furrowed. And when he saw Husing, his eyebrows were even more tightly furrowed. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1241. Zheng Family. Uncle Qing was well prepared. He was telling the truth. He accurately hit the core point of gossips, and everyone was listening with interest. They subconsciously believed at least 80% of what was said. Madame Zheng, the first wife of the family, passed away when she was very young, and the young master had to stay at home for 3 years to pay the respect. That sounded so reasonable and pitiful. And Ms.Qin, who only knew how to cry, made the man lose his mind and abandoned his wife and son. She was so low class. Zhao Yi had his back straight, showing that he was honest. He looked calm on the surface, but in fact, he was about to explode. He had no idea what the officer was waiting for at this moment. He had already hinted so clearly that the officer could get Zheng Qing to be taken away for torture and punishment. Why had he not done anything yet? And he was even praising himself inwardly for being smart. If this dragged on, they would not be able to get any result. Uncle Qing glanced at him. "Officer, I am still saying the same thing. Young master gave the contract to me and asked me to sell it. Young master said that if the mulberry garden is in his hands, he won't have any income of 1 liang, so he might as well sell it and see the money. He doesn't want to go back to Yangzhou, so he asked me to do it for him. Young master trusts me, so I did what he asked me to. Otherwise, I would not have been able to get 100,000 mu of mulberry garden, if it was not given to me by the young master. I am telling the truth. I swear that I will never lie to you in public." The officer frowned and snapped. "Ridiculous. You think I don't know the economy? 100,000 mu of mulberry field. Pick mulberry to raise silkworms, and silkworms to spin cocoons and spit silk. Silk is not cheap. Even after all costs are excluded, 100,000 mulberry garden should have a profit of 700,000 or 800,000 liang. But you said you obtained none?" Uncle Qing sneered. "You are right, officer, but there is one reason," Zhao Yi suddenly shouted. "Officer, this servant is trying to say that he is up to no good. Please don't listen to his nonsense." Uncle Qing sneered. "You don't dare to let me tell? Young Master Zhao, are you feeling guilty?" Zhao Yi gritted his teeth. "You are so cunning. You are just making up stories. Why should I listen to your nonsense?" Uncle Qing said, "Whether it is nonsense or not, I am going to speak out loud. If you are not feeling guilty, you don't have to interrupt me. Officer, please allow me to explain." "Officer." The officer glanced at Zhao Yi and said to Uncle Qing, "Please proceed." Zhao Yi opened his mouth and closed it unwillingly. He did not know if it was an illusion, but when the officer glanced at him just now, he felt a chill down his spine. "Thank you, officer." Uncle Qing said angrily, "The silk produced in 100,000 mu of mulberry fields is worth more than 1 million liang, but young master doesn't get a single liang every year, because all the silk has been taken away by the Zhao family for free." Everyone was in an uproar. Zhao Yi could not help but say, "Third brother is from the Zhao family, and you are part of the Zhao family's weaving workshop. What is wrong with your own silk supplying your own workshop? That is the Zheng family's mulberry garden. The Zhao family's properties belong to the Zhao family, but the Zheng family's mulberry garden is left to young master by our old master and Madame Zheng. Young master has a share in the Zhao family's properties, but the Zheng family's mulberry garden belongs to young master alone. Young master Zhao, you can't just have no idea about such a simple principle. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1242, Old Story. Uncle Qing's men would never miss this opportunity. How can that be possible? I know the couple from the Zheng family, and the properties they leave to their lineal grandchildren should belong to the lineal grandchildren. How shameless of the Zhao family to take them all. True. That is not a small amount, more than 1,000,000 liang a year. They are father and son, but that is not right. The Zhao family are too greedy. Look at young master Zhao. He even tried to stop manager Zheng from speaking. It is obvious that he has taken advantage of the situation. Poor young master Zhao, he has lost his mother, and even the properties left to him by his maternal ancestor have been taken away. Sigh. But it is his own family who are taking advantage of him, and he can't say a thing. It was no wonder that he would rather sell it. If he sells it, they can at least get some money. It was no wonder that the Zhao family got so anxious when he sold them out. We can't take advantage of them anymore, can we? Haha. That is why the concubine's son is so annoying. He is riding on the lineal son's head. I heard that Ms.Qin hooked up with old master Zhao a long time ago. She used to be kept as a mistress outside the family. Madame Zheng is a virtuous woman, and she said that to the public for the sake of the Zhao family's reputation. Oh my God, what is going on? Tell me the details. Uncle Qing's words had already surprised the onlookers. In addition, he had bribed those who were scattered in the crowd to keep up the rhythm. The situation was getting out of control. Zhao Yi shouted anxiously, "Zheng, don't be a demon. You are lying. The mulberry garden belongs to the Zhao family. Mother is the daughter-in-law of the Zhao family, and the mulberry garden belongs to the Zhao family." Uncle Qing sneered. Second young master Zhao is just a concubine's son, and the Zhao family doesn't have a concubine's son in charge. What are you so excited about, second young master Zhao? The contract for Ms. Zheng's mulberry garden has always been in our madam's hands, and after she passed away, it fell into young master's hands. It clearly says that it belongs to the Zheng family. How can it become the Zhao family's? I didn't know that Madame Zheng's private properties were shared among her husband's family. If you don't know anything, please don't say anything more, in case you become a laughing stock. You. Silence. The officer frowned. The properties belong to the owner, and the contract is the best proof. But young master Zhao is from the Zhao family, and he has senior members in the family. He should not have sold the properties privately. He should have talked with the senior members. Old master Zhao should have taught him a thing or two. Uncle Qing bowed. You are right, officer. Zhao Yi. That was it. What did officer mean? He sounded as if he were admitting that Zhao Shu had sold the contract to Madame Xiao. That was not going to work. Also, as a member of the Zhao family, he sold something so important to the Zhao family behind his father's back. His father should teach him a lesson and ask him to get the mulberry garden back, so he could teach him how to do that. That was too easy for him. Officer, my third brother would never have done something like this behind father's back. This evil servant must have stolen the land contract and colluded with outsiders to take it for himself. He is lying. Please tell me the truth. Torture him. They were going to beat him on the board, clip his fingers and put on shackles. He was going to change the way he talked right now. There was no need to be polite when dealing with such a tricky slave. Chapter 1243. Certain? Zhao Yi harbored a secret wish that he could command the guards to forcibly remove Uncle Qing from the scene. Uncle Qing responded with a disdainful sneer. Second young master Zhao. I solemnly swear that I never betrayed my master. It was our young master who issued those orders. What's your intention in falsely accusing me? Zhao Yi retorted. With third brother absent, you have the opportunity to defend yourself. If you manage to extricate yourself from this predicament, you can take the money and disappear. Where else would I find you? I dare to swear, and what about you, second young master Zhao? Perhaps we should use the same words with our young master. You make these accusations when he's conveniently absent. Utter nonsense. That's nothing but slander. Enough. The officer intervened sternly, rapping the wooden surface in irritation. This is a serious matter involving millions of liang. Mere words won't suffice. Second young master Zhao, do you possess any evidence? Zhao Yi hadn't anticipated the prefect's inquiry. He clenched his teeth, suppressing his anger, and replied, Officer, my third brother is not capable of such treachery. It must be this servant. Uncle Qin vehemently protested. Officer, no, it wasn't me. Young Master Zhao, are you absolutely certain? Without a doubt. Uncle Qin sneered once more. And what if that's untrue? Second young Master Zhao might be unjustly accusing us. Fuming and humiliated, Zhao Yi reluctantly agreed with himself that he had to make a difficult decision. Officer, please apprehend Madame Xiao and interrogate her. Zhao Yi muttered to himself about the officer's apparent lack of astuteness, questioning why they were focusing solely on one individual. Hadn't the Xiao family played a part as well? Furthermore, they should be subjected to rigorous interrogation. After some contemplation, the officer concurred with Zhao Ye's suggestion and instructed someone to summon the Xiao family. Sun Qian was among those brought forward. Zhao Yi couldn't conceal his relief. The officer had successfully brought the Xiao family to the scene, and although Madame Xiao was absent, her presence was effectively represented. It appeared that the officer still harbored some bias in favor of her, presumably due to the Zhao family's influence in Hangzhou. Sun Qian vehemently refuted Zhao Ye's claims, much like Uncle Qing, insisting that it was Zhao Shu who had brokered the contract sale. Zhao Yi somehow had the confidence to deny what they said. He did not believe a word they said. Even though he had no evidence, he still believed that it was Uncle Qing who had colluded with the Xiao family to get rid of the contract. He was so shameless that Ms. Zheng's mulberry garden became the Zhao family's. Uncle Qing almost laughed out of anger. Sun Qian did not have the patience to talk nonsense with Zhao Yi. He asked Uncle Qing to get young Master Zhao here, so that young Master Zhao would be present. But Uncle Qing was in a dilemma. He expressed that his young master really wanted him to make the decision. He was out of town, and he might not be back anytime soon. Zhao Yi cheered inwardly. That was even more true. He even suspected that he had hit the right spot of what he did. Maybe it was Uncle Qing who did it. Zhao Yi, who had gained a lot of confidence, started to speak more straightforwardly. He was driven away by Uncle Qing and Sun Qian, who said that if he made a mistake, he was willing to kowtow to them and apologize to them in public. Sun Qian said immediately, I want kowtow. If you are mistaken, give me 100,000 liang. Do you dare? Under such a circumstance, Zhao Yi really wanted to say so. He agreed without hesitation. Then he cupped his hands and said, Please, officer. Use the punishment. Torture this old servant. Chapter 1244. Insatiable. They would divulge the information under duress. As long as they could extract a confession through torture, they would have no further reason to withhold information. However, both he and the officer failed to comprehend his intentions. The officer remained baffled by his statement. Recognizing that time was running short, they took the plaintiff and defendant into custody for interrogation the following day. Uncle Qing and Sun Qian remained indifferent to the situation. Xiao Yinduan had already instructed them to spend the night at the government office. Zhao Yi was taken aback. He couldn't help but inquire, Officer, does this mean? Was the officer planning to imprison him as well? The officer paid no attention to his question and rose from his seat, commanding, Leave the hall. Zhao Yi stood there, lost for words. Zhao Mu breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing of Zhao Ye's detention, as the magistrate had not made a public announcement. This suggested that there might still be an opportunity to reverse the situation. Perhaps the magistrate was hinting at something. Zhao Mu couldn't help but feel a twinge of dissatisfaction when he thought about the lavish gifts he had distributed earlier. He decided to pay another visit to the prefect. This time, the officer received him, yet remained composed and enigmatic. They engaged in a session of Tai Chi, appearing gentle and smiling, but offering no concrete assurances. Zhao Mu grew increasingly frustrated. He cursed the officer for his insatiable greed. He couldn't shake the belief that the officer had no real interest in the gifts. With gritted teeth, Zhao Mu took a decisive step back. He subtly conveyed to the officer that once he secured the 100,000 mu of mulberry fields, he would readily allocate 30,000 mu of it to the officer. No favors would be required. Annually, he would directly transfer the 30,000 mu of mulberry fields to the officer. Zhao Mu was sparing no effort to appropriate his son's assets. He was essentially cutting into his own flesh and bleeding. Though the officer maintained a poker face, he too felt the sting in his heart. Being an official in Jiangnan, he needed to secure some profits. However, he was acutely aware that he couldn't accept any monetary gains or engage in illicit activities. Greed had its limits. He had principles. Zhao Mu's offer was like a Trojan horse, swift, precise, and ruthless. It was powerful and alluring. If not for Xiao Yunduan, he might have succumbed to the temptation. They wouldn't have to manage the 30,000 mu of mulberry fields personally. All they needed to do was collect the dividends every year, which amounted to more than 200,000 liang. It was an immense sum of money, but compared to her future and her life, money was the least of her concerns. The officer feigned ignorance of Zhao Mu's proposal. Fearing he might yield to the temptation, he dismissed him with a few curt words. Zhao Mu was left bewildered. Did the officer not grasp the offer, or was he dissatisfied? If he was dissatisfied, that would be unreasonable. What more could he want with such a generous portion? Returning to the mansion, they suddenly realized they had forgotten about their son. She had initially planned to remove her son from the mansion, but she refrained from mentioning it after the officer's taiji fist struck her. It didn't seem quite appropriate to pay them another visit. So Zhao Mu furrowed his brows and abandoned the idea. However, Ms.Qin's maternal concern for her son weighed heavily on her heart. She wept openly before him, fearing that her son would endure hardship while in government custody. Her son had never faced adversity in his upbringing, and was ill-equipped to handle it. This officer's behavior was quite disheartening. He regularly benefited from their family, yet he appeared remarkably callous now. Chapter 1245, Biased. All the benefits they had promised ended up going to waste. Zhao Mu had held high hopes for his second son, but upon hearing Ms.Qin's distressing cry, he couldn't help but become concerned. Both Zhao Mu and Ms.Qin had the same notion. If one of them had to stay overnight at the government office, it would be the eldest son who took on that duty, while the second son could attend court the following day. Zhao Mu couldn't help but direct some blame towards Ms.Qin. He hadn't been present at the mansion the day before, so he wasn't aware of the situation. Why had Ms.Qin allowed her son to undertake the task? She could have easily assigned it to her eldest son. Ms.Qin, too, felt irritated by the turn of events. They had both forgotten that they had initially believed the problem wouldn't be easily resolved. They hadn't anticipated that it would escalate to this point. Furthermore, as soon as Zhao Yi received the news, he rushed to the government office, determined to make some contributions. Zhao Zhai couldn't contain his anger when he heard the story. Why was he the only one to foresee such trouble? He never expected to be mistreated in this manner. Despite all being sons of concubines, they were no nobler than one another. However, no matter how vehemently Zhao Zhai protested, it had no effect on his parents. Zhao Mu was in charge and his word was final. Beyond receiving a scolding, Zhao Zhai's resistance couldn't alter the situation. It was clear to him that his father had little regard for his unfortunate status as a lineal son. Loyalty seemed to be a one-way street. Being the lineal son, he had his mother to strategize for him, and his grandparents had left him with a substantial inheritance of properties and faithful servants. In contrast, he had nothing. They couldn't even manage a small fraction of the family's assets. With no other options, Zhao found himself at the governmental office, accompanied by the housekeeper, replacing Zhao Yi. For the governmental office, as long as both the plaintiff and the defendant were present, it didn't matter which of them was in custody. If the Zhao family intended to change the plaintiff, they would have to save face for the Zhao family. Zhao couldn't hide his relief upon seeing Zhao Yi at the office. He exchanged a few polite words and promptly left with the housekeeper. His frustration towards his brother was so intense that he felt like tearing him apart. What kind of brother was this? In front of their parents, he had pretended to support Zhao, encouraging him to seize the benefits, only to burden him in the end. Deceptive. Cowardly. How irresponsible. Zhao wondered if his parents were blind to have been deceived by his brother, and continued to defend him, despite his cruelty towards him. One day, he vowed to strip away his brother's pretentious facade and trample him underfoot. Word soon reached Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian about the Zhao family changing the plaintiff. Xiao Xian smiled and remarked, "It appears that the departure of young Master Zhao has fractured the family's unity. It seems they won't be true brothers anymore." Xiao Yunduan agreed, saying, "That's excellent. Let's fan the flames a bit and enjoy the spectacle." The two of them exchanged knowing smiles. The following day, the case resumed. This time, Zhao Yi was nowhere to be seen. He had asked Zhao to take his place as the plaintiff. Their father had informed Zhao about this change the previous day. Zhao grew even more annoyed and silently cursed Zhao Yi. Brother Grumpy indeed lived up to his nickname. He was different from Zhao Yi, who was composed and knew when to speak and when to remain silent. Brother Grumpy lacked the same level of patience. Hearing Uncle Qing and Sun Qian's denials and the interrogation, he could not stand that anymore. Chapter 1246, Insolent. Brother Grumpy glared at the couple with disdain. "Officer, you can deal with these unruly individuals, administer appropriate punishments, and interrogate them. There's no need for us to engage in conversation with them." Before he could finish his sentence, Uncle Qing's men erupted in protest. "What? Young Master Zhao suggesting confessions through torture? How dare the Zhao family make such an outrageous statement in public? No wonder young Master Zhao had to leave his home. Who would want to return to such a hostile environment? His life is in danger in that mansion." "I couldn't agree more." Zhao felt his anxiety rising and lashed out at the others. "Silence." The officer snapped back. "How dare you raise your voice in court? Zhao, your arrogance knows no bounds." The officer inwardly cursed his luck. This man was nowhere near as respectable as second young Master Zhao, and he constantly complained that his parents favored his sibling. Any family would favor a son like second young Master Zhao. If it weren't for the Zhao family's influence, the officer would have wasted no time in dragging Zhao down and disciplining him. Yet, Zhao found himself growing increasingly infuriated as he considered that Zhao Yi, not he, should have been the true culprit. Irritated brother had earned his nickname for a reason. Under Uncle Qing's intimidation and Zhao ill-chosen words, they tarnished not only their own reputations, but also that of Ms.Qin. Zhao wasn't foolish. He soon realized he had been manipulated by Uncle Qing and couldn't help but hurl insults at him, accusing him of being deceitful and underhanded. This outburst, filled with rage and obscenities, only worsened matters for him and the Zhao family. All eyes turned downward, their gaze fixed on him. Was this the demeanor of old Master Zhao's eldest son? Young Master Zhao seemed to be in a pitiable state. Just then, Zhao Shu made his entrance. Zhao was left dumbfounded and sharply asked, "What brings you here?" Despite the recent family dispute involving his parents and brother, when facing Zhao Shu, Zhao felt like the outsider. Initially, the entire family had assumed that Zhao Shu would not return home, so when they saw him, it was a genuine shock. In response to Zhao Shu's words, the onlookers' expressions underwent a noticeable change. "Do you welcome her return or not?" "Of course not. Young Master Zhao, you can't let them spread unfounded rumors upon your return." "Absolutely." Laughter erupted among those present. Zhao expression darkened. He resented Zhao Shu for appearing unexpectedly and causing him to utter the wrong words. Internally, Zhao Shu couldn't help but sneer. He shot a glance at Zhao Zhai, then knelt down in front of the officer, explaining that he had rushed back because he was concerned about Uncle Qing. Upon hearing about the situation, he had promptly headed to the governmental office. With the culprit now present, the case was poised to be resolved much more easily. The officer quickly grasped the full picture of the situation. When it came to the impact of Zhao Shu's presence, Uncle Qing and the Zhao family couldn't hope to measure up. Zhao Zhai, utterly shocked and disoriented by his brother's sudden appearance, exclaimed, "Have you lost your mind? No one authorized you to sell it." Amusement danced in Zhao Shu's eyes as he calmly replied, "The mulberry garden belongs to my grandparents, and they passed it on to my mother, who in turn handed it down to me. All the land contracts are in my possession, and I have every right to sell it whenever I wish. Is there a problem with that?" Chapter 1247. Arrogant Son. Zhao Zhai seethed with anger, his voice dripping with frustration as he confronted his cousin. "But you're also part of the Zhao family, the young master no less. Selling the mulberry garden. How can we produce silk for ourselves?" Zhao Shu retorted with a hint of indifference. "You can always buy it." His suggestion was met with a derisive scoff from Zhao Zhai. "You of all people." Zhao Zhai's annoyance remained unabated as he accused, "You did this deliberately." Zhao Shu calmly explained, "Those lands were passed down from our grandparents, and I have every right to manage them as I see fit. I need the money, so selling them is my prerogative. If you wish to purchase them, I can intercede with Madame Xiao on your behalf. Perhaps she might consider selling you half. Are you interested?" Zhao Zhai was left in contemplative silence. Where would he acquire the funds? Finally, he sneered, "Just you wait. Father will never forgive you." Uncle Qing had managed to gather a group of onlookers, and they began to disperse. "I can't tolerate this any longer. The audacity of that concubine's son. Look at how he treats the legitimate heir, young Master Zhao. They say old Master Zhao is playing favorites. That's preposterous. He has every right to sell what he pleases, doesn't he? Why should he use it to support this unrelated concubine's son? If the concubine's son treated him as a brother, it would be different, but the way he behaves, it seems that neither the brother nor the concubine are decent people." "Exactly. If I were young Master Zhao, I wouldn't stand for such humiliation. We're meant to be a family, but old Master Zhao and the concubine's son hardly deserve to be called that. This is an affront to our dignity." Zhao Zhai seethed with anger and hatred, wanting to retaliate vocally, but he feared the stern reprimands of the officials in the courtroom. So all he could do was shoot Zhao Shu a fierce glare, silently conveying, "Your actions won't go unanswered." He had overlooked the fact that he would become the center of attention. Witnessing this, discontent among the onlookers grew. The officer concealed his inner disdain and taunted her for her perceived foolishness and ineptitude. "Is there anything else you'd like to add to this case?" It was time to bring the matter to a close. Zhao Zhai snorted and directed a pointed glare at Zhao Shu, silently vowing to bide his time and seek justice. He yearned for the day he could present his case and expose Zhao Shu's actions to the family. Although deeply discontented, Zhao Shu, being Zhao Mu's son, couldn't utter a disparaging word about his father or the Zhao family. As a servant, Uncle Qing remained silent. Sun Qian raised her voice, addressing the officer. "Officer, my master has been unjustly accused. I implore you to uphold justice. Must the wealthy and powerful manipulate intermediates like pawns, framing innocent individuals without evidence? Is this what the governmental office stands for? Disregarding the laws of the Qin dynasty and making baseless accusations will erode morality over time, leading to a decay in society's values. Such actions fail to deter wrongdoers or educate the populace. Please, render a fair verdict, officer." Zhao Zhai's eyes widened, struggling to comprehend her eloquence. He longed to refute her but lacked the education to do so, sensing that her words were far from complimentary. After careful consideration, the officer turned to Zhao Zhai and declared, "Sun Qian is correct. Those who abuse their influence must face consequences. You shall pay Madame Zhao 10,000 liang as compensation and make a public apology in court. This case is now closed. Chapter 1248. Heartbroken. Zhao comprehended his meaning and panic gripped him. Officer, what else do you wish to convey? Zhao's heart raced, his fear intensifying. He opened his mouth, but choked down his objection. He knew what needed to be done, but he hesitated in the officer's disfavor. Zhao Mu and Zhao Yi were unaware of the situation, resulting in the absence of both father and son. Zhao was left to bear the burden alone. He reluctantly agreed to pay 10,000 liang as compensation and offer a public apology in court. The 10,000 liang would undoubtedly be covered by the intermediaries. It wasn't his concern. However, when he had to bow before Sun Qian and apologize in the courtroom, Zhao forced himself to do it, his face turning crimson with embarrassment. He secretly cursed Zhao Yi. Thus, the misunderstanding was resolved, and the Zhao family gained notoriety in Hangzhou. Sun Qian returned to the hostel. Zhao vented his anger and humiliation on Zhao Shu and Zhao Yi. Zhao Shu was right there, and he wasn't going to let him off. As they exited the government office, Zhao couldn't hold back any longer and stopped Zhao Shu, sneering. Now that you're back, why don't you return to the mansion? Come with me. They weren't in court, so there was no need to consider Zhao Mu and the Zhao family's face. As for Zhao Shu couldn't care less about him. He sneered as if he had heard something unbelievable. I told you I'm not returning to the mansion. That's my home, where I was born and raised. If I'm not going back, where else would I go? Zhao felt a pang of heartache. He hadn't returned to the Zhao family until he was 12 years old, born to a concubine. He simply couldn't find the words. Before he realized what was happening, Zhao Shu and Uncle Qing had already departed in the wagon. Zhao seethed with anger as he spat in the direction they had departed. He stormed over to the Zhao family's wagon and curtly ordered the coachman to hasten their journey. He needed to return home as quickly as possible. Once they were back at the Zhao family estate, Zhao Shu wouldn't have any leverage over them. They would all be on the same side. In truth, Zhao Mu, Zhao Yi, and Ms.Qin were already aware of Zhao Shu's court appearance. But now that Zhao Shu had openly declared his intentions, Zhao Mu's presence at the court would be futile. The entire Zhao family would suffer public humiliation. There was no point in pursuing it further. The entire household awaited Zhao Shu's return. Ms.Qin seethed with anger, inwardly cursing why this troublemaker had chosen this moment to come back and disrupt her plans. She still held strong confidence in her scheme, believing that as long as Zhao Shu didn't return, she would secure 100,000 mu of mulberry fields. However, Zhao Mu was deeply irritated by recent events. They had given away precious possessions to play with antiques and money, subjected themselves to humiliation in court, and made a mockery of their reputation. All for nothing. Zhao Shu returned to the Zhao family accompanied by Uncle Qing and 8 formidable servants. The moment he stepped into the mansion, the housekeeper ushered him into the main hall, saying, "Old Master and Madame Qin are waiting for you." Zhao Shu shot the housekeeper a cold, disdainful look. "Madame Qin? Is my father married to a second wife?" The housekeeper stammered, No. Then where is this Madame Qin about?" Zhao Shu sneered and brushed past him. Inside the main hall, Zhao Mu and Ms.Qin occupied seats on the left and right flanks of the main chair, with Zhao Yi seated on the left side of the main chair. The maids and elderly women stood nearby, holding their breath, their expressions taut with tension. Chapter 1249. Not your seat. At a single glance, the servants' faces appeared entirely unfamiliar. "Ungrateful son, how dare you return?" The instant Zhao Mu laid eyes on Zhao Shu, his pent-up anger of days surged forth, causing him to slam the table and shout. Ms.Qin sighed deeply and spoke with emotion. "Third young master, apologize to the old master. How can you wound the old master's heart and undermine the Zhao family's foundation? He is your father. He couldn't care less about me. He wishes me dead. Old master, please refrain from saying such things. Young master is still in his youth and prone to mistakes. If you guide him properly, he can surely change. Perhaps the people around him have influenced him negatively, but it's not entirely young master's fault. He's beyond redemption. Utterly useless. Old master, please calm down. Don't let your anger jeopardize your health. Third young master, say something kind to placate the old master. Ungrateful son. Zhao Shu remained silent. Standing there, Zhao Shu watched the scene with an odd smile on his face. Strangely, he felt no anger, disappointment, or resentment. Instead, he found it all rather absurd. He chuckled. Ms.Qin stiffened, and Zhao Yi furrowed his brow as he quietly observed Zhao Shu. He said nothing, but Zhao Mu erupted. Ungrateful son. How dare you laugh? Are you trying to infuriate me? You must be jesting. People don't just drop dead so easily. What did you say? Our household lacks rules and ethics. Outsiders would mock us, but you seem unfazed. You must be in good health, so there's no need to worry about losing your temper. Zhao Mu. Zhao Mu panted, his gaze fixed on Zhao Shu, utterly perplexed by what he was hearing. Ms.Qin shared his exasperation. Had all her efforts been in vain? Third young master, stop this nonsense. Old master is discussing something important with you. Zhao Mu snapped back to reality, realizing he was nearly led astray by this troublemaker. Ungrateful son you. We can address this later. Dad, why the rush? Let's adhere to our traditions. With a sneer, Zhao Shu pushed Ms.Qin aside. That is not your seat. Caught off guard, Ms.Qin let out a cry and staggered backward. Were it not for the help of a maid, she might have stumbled. Furious, Zhao Yi hurried to Ms.Qin's side to lend his support. His gaze filled with anger as he glared at Zhao Shu. What are you implying, third brother? Zhao Shu sneered. How can a concubine assume the position of the family's mistress? What is the meaning of this? Do we have no rules in this family? Zhao Yi found himself at a loss for words. Ms.Qin stiffened as well, her face paling as she cast a pitiful look at Zhao Mu. Zhao Mu felt deeply embarrassed. Ever since Ms. Zheng's passing, he had observed that Ms.Qin's stewardship was efficient. He had been living a comfortable life, and Ms.Qin had been ingratiating herself with him. As a result, he had never considered taking a concubine. He had no clue when Ms.Qin had assumed the role of the family's mistress and taken on responsibilities only meant for her. To him, it had seemed like a minor detail, unworthy of concern. Chapter 1250. Not on the surface. Ms.Qin sobbed, tears welling up in her eyes. Third young master. Zhao Shu's voice dripped with condescension as he dismissed her. You are but a concubine, with no right to interrupt when I converse with my father. How fascinating. Ms.Qin's complexion grew even paler, and dizziness washed over her. Zhao Yi could no longer tolerate the situation and spoke up firmly. Zhao Shu, do not push us beyond our limits. Zhao Shu's expression twisted with disdain as he retorted. I am not bullying a concubine. I am merely imparting a lesson in decorum. And as for you, have you never been taught proper manners? Who granted you the privilege to address me by my name and raise your voice? You. Ms.Qin had grown arrogant over the years, considering herself the mistress of the household. Now the humiliation she suffered from Zhao Shu, with the servants referring to her as a concubine, was too much to bear. She felt her face burn with embarrassment, almost biting her lip in frustration. Uncontrollable sobs escaped her. This had been her go-to response whenever she faced bullying throughout the years, crying weakly before the old master, who would invariably sympathize with her. It had become an unconscious habit. However, she had overlooked one crucial detail. It wasn't just between her and the old master anymore. Zhao Shu no longer regarded her with disdain. Instead, he looked down on her. Indeed, a concubine remains a concubine, unable even to maintain composure without breaking into tears on such a trifling stage. Ms.Qin's voice caught in her throat, unable to respond. You despicable. Zhao Yi's face turned pallid, and he trembled. He clenched his teeth, choosing silence, as if he hadn't heard a word. He harbored the belief that his father would never let this go unpunished. Zhao Mu too, felt humiliated but had to begrudgingly admit that Zhao Shu's words held some truth. A concubine remained a concubine, skilled in servitude, flattery, and bringing joy. Yet certain distinctions remained unattainable on her part. Enough! Zhao Mu interrupted sharply. Cease discussing trivial matters. What is the status of the 100,000 mulberry fields? Zhao Shu appeared taken aback. Is that all you see in it, father? Consider this. Have you noticed any reputable young women from respectable families associating with us in recent years? Zhao Mu was caught off guard. Ms.Qin's expression shifted, her annoyance bubbling over as she couldn't hold back any longer. Young master, must you subject us to such humiliation? Zhao Shu responded sternly, you aren't deserving of it. Father, inquire around, and you'll find that, aside from those who ingratiate themselves with you, all of whom hail from inferior backgrounds, no proper young lady of a respectable family would entertain the notion of courting a concubine. Their audacity knows no bounds. Ms.Qin felt like her heart had been pierced, a searing wound of humiliation. Zhao Ye's hands trembled with anxiety. Zhao Mu furrowed his brow, comprehending the situation. He had been neglectful. He needed to consider taking a proper wife. Without a rightful matriarch, the family lacked propriety. A sense of embarrassment crept over him. He, the wealthiest man in Hangzhou, didn't even possess a legitimate wife. It was an absurdity. These thoughts led him to inwardly blame Ms.Qin. If it weren't for her small gains, he might have given this more thought. It was his oversight. Observing his expression, Ms.Qin's heart chilled with apprehension and anger. She knew full well that the old master wouldn't promote her to the position of legitimate wife. The Zhao family in Hangzhou held a distinguished reputation, and making a concubine the mistress was unthinkable. Chapter 1251. Himself? But awareness was one thing, and whether they could emotionally accept it was another matter. She felt so unconvinced and wronged, especially after enjoying the power and authority as the mistress of the family for years. She couldn't simply relinquish it like this. Ms.Qin's heart was in turmoil. A sharp glint flashed across her downcast eyes, and she shivered with a cold feeling deep within her. She couldn't even bring herself to remember the 100,000 mulberry fields at this moment. If another woman from the family were to enter the mansion and give birth to a legitimate son, what would become of her and her son? How much would they receive? Not even the 100,000 mulberry fields would remain in their possession. Having firmly made up his mind, Zhao Mu addressed Zhao Shu coldly. Let's not digress. I'm asking about the mulberry fields. Provide a clear explanation. Ms.Qin and Zhao Yi exchanged a fearful glance, their hearts sinking further, as they felt an increasing sense of threat. Zhao Shu's impoliteness towards Ms.Qin didn't elicit any reprimand from Zhao Mu. He simply passed along the message. It became evident that Ms.Qin held no significance to him. If this was how Zhao Mu treated Ms.Qin, what chance did Zhao Yi and Zhao Zhai stand? It was apparent that Zhao Mu's primary concern was his own interests. With a smile on his face, Zhao Shu was about to respond when the housekeeper hurriedly entered and bowed. Old master, Madame Xiao is here looking for you. Zhao Mu sneered. They dare to come? Let them in. It was Sun Qian. Coincidentally, Zhao Zhai returned and entered the room alongside Sun Qian. As he started to berate her, Sun Qian shot him a cold glare, rendering him silent out of fear. When Zhao Zhai realized that Sun Qian was still maintaining his arrogance within his home, his annoyance grew even more pronounced, and he began to utter curses once again. Sun Qian, however, showed no regard for formalities. With a nonchalant flick of his foot, a small stone struck Zhao Zhai's ankle. In response, Zhao Zhai let out a piercing scream, collapsing to the ground in agony, clutching his leg. Sun Qian smirked silently and sauntered past him. Upon encountering Zhao Mu, Sun Qian swiftly conveyed his intention. He was here for money. The official had granted compensation of 10,000 liang and issued an official apology in court. Zhao Zhai had already offered apologies on behalf of the Zhao family, and he had come now to collect the money. Upon hearing Zhao Zhai apologizing on behalf of the Zhao family, Zhao Mu's anger surged even further. He shot a disdainful glare at Ms.Qin, seemingly blaming her for her son's actions. Ms.Qin bit her lip, silently pleading not to be held solely responsible. After all, she wasn't the only one who had raised him. Before Sun Qian could finish his demand, Zhao Yi interjected with a reminder that in court the previous day, he had pledged to compensate with 100,000 liang if he were caught lying. Therefore, the Zhao family should now provide 110,000 liang. This declaration further fueled Zhao Mu's fury, and he cast a cold, questioning look at Zhao Yi, who found himself unable to explain. He hadn't anticipated this turn of events. However, the real question was, what was the official's motive? If he intended to penalize Zhao Shu, he could have quickly retrieved the contract, even with Zhao Shu's return. But there was an inexplicable twist to the situation that left Zhao Yi baffled. Reluctantly, Zhao Yi couldn't deny the truth presented in court, especially with Sun Qian's behavior as evidence. Thus, he averted his father's gaze. Suppressing his anger, Zhao Mu pressed on, "Mr. Sun, about the matter of the mulberry fields. Give me the money first. I'm here for the money. As for the 100,000 mulberry fields, old Master Zhao, you're the wealthiest man in Yangzhou. Surely you can provide 110,000 liang, can't you?" Chapter 1252. Unthinkable. Zhao Mu sneered, dismissing the sum of 110,000 liang as inconsequential. A mere 110,000 liang? The Zhao family possesses far more than that. Butler, withdraw 110,000 liang from the account. Yes, old master. Mr. Sun, what are Madame Xiao's intentions regarding the 100,000 mulberry fields? Zhao Shu inquired, feigning innocence. Since the mulberry garden belongs to old master and his wife, what are your thoughts on it, young Master Zhao? Zhao Shu nodded in agreement. Indeed, I've already sold off the mulberry garden. This revelation sparked another surge of anger within Zhao Mu. He couldn't help but seethe with frustration at his disobedient son. It was an immutable fact, one that gnawed at him relentlessly. Taking a deep breath, Zhao Mu continued, "Madame Xiao, are you planning to sell the silk, or?" His heart ached once more at the thought. The silk produced from the 100,000 mu mulberry field should have rightfully belonged to him, sparing him the need for any liang. Yet now, it had all slipped through his grasp. Unfilial son. Unfilial son. Sun Qian clarified, "We are indeed selling the silk. My madam has made it clear that only those who excel will have the privilege to purchase it. If you wish to acquire some, old Master Zhao, you may discuss it directly with the manager. My madam isn't personally involved in these matters." The manager in question was not under Qiao Xian's authority, but was instead managed by Zhao Shu and Uncle Qing. Sun Qian was merely a pawn, playing her role according to Zhao Shu's scheme. Upon hearing Sun Qian's words, the Zhao family's heart skipped a beat. Madame Xiao was not personally overseeing such a substantial enterprise? This revelation hinted at the Xiao family's considerable influence. He couldn't even bring himself to contemplate it. This only deepened the apprehension Zhao Mu and the Zhao family felt towards Qiao Xian. They couldn't afford to underestimate Zhao Shu either. Zhao Mu found Sun Qian's tepid response to be deeply dissatisfying. The silk issue gnawed at him, stoking his irritation. However, Sun Qian remained indifferent to Zhao Mu's feelings. Once the money was in his possession, he took his leave. Before departing, Sun Qian patted Zhao Shu on the shoulder and mustered a forced smile. "Old master suggests that young Master Zhao pays him a visit when you have the time. We could have a chat." The expressions on Zhao Mu and Zhao Ye's faces shifted slightly. Meanwhile, Ms.Qin ground her teeth in silent frustration, cursing inwardly. This woman had clearly aligned herself with an influential family, explaining her audacity. Zhao Shu graciously nodded, maintaining his smile. "Your kindness is greatly appreciated, old Master Xiao. I'll be sure to pay you a visit in the near future." Sun Qian acknowledged the response with a nod before making his exit. With Sun Qian's departure, the pretentious atmosphere surrounding Zhao Mu dissipated. He turned to glare at Zhao Shu, still finding him irksome, though he couldn't vent his anger. Moreover, what would be the point of eliminating him? The 100,000 mu of mulberry fields would never be returned. Zhao Mu had initially harbored thoughts of wresting back control of the mulberry fields from Madame Xiao before Sun Qian's arrival. However, following the encounter, he dared not even entertain such notions. He couldn't afford to provoke the homeowner, given the formidable obstinacy of their servant. Zhao Mu understood all too well that he could ill afford to offend Madame Xiao and her husband. The knowledge that he was Yangzhou's wealthiest individual, and the loss of respect from the local authorities was evidence enough of this shift. In the end, the Zhao family found themselves at a loss regarding the mulberry fields, a laughingstock without any recourse. Chapter 1253. Identity. What he needed to contemplate was the significance of silk. The absence of the silk mill would unquestionably leave them in distress, but they couldn't proceed without it. Madame Xiao had recently acquired her own mulberry fields, and old Master Xiao appeared to have a cordial relationship with his estranged son. If this estranged son could negotiate amiably with Ms. Xiao and her spouse, they might secure silk at a more favorable rate. Ms.Qin remained oblivious to Zhao Mu's thoughts, yet she couldn't fathom why Zhao Mu refrained from reprimanding Zhao Shu. Old master, even if we were to sell the 100,000 mu of mulberry fields, where would the proceeds go? Zhao Mu's eyes gleamed as he directed his gaze toward Zhao Shu. Indeed, money. A conservative estimate indicated that 100,000 mu of mulberry fields could yield at least 700,000 liang, accounting for all expenditures. If the mulberry fields were sold in their entirety, the sum would likely exceed 2 million liang, wouldn't it? With such funds at their disposal, they wouldn't need to worry about purchasing silk for the next 3 or 4 years. In reality, despite the vast scale of the Zhao family's workshop, it didn't necessitate 100,000 mu of mulberry fields to sustain its silk production. Zhao Mu had been consistently selling silk sourced from Ms. Zheng's mulberry garden every year. Ms. Zheng was well aware of this, as was Zhao Shu. What course of action should they take? Ms. Zheng was the spouse, and her son was still in his formative years. Her parents were no longer alive. Historically, her parents had no male heirs, and the Zheng family had made repeated attempts to adopt them. Fortunately, the Zheng family's standing in Yangzhou was not robust, and Ms. Zheng's parents possessed ample wealth to dissuade such efforts. Nevertheless, Ms. Zheng and her kin had a strained relationship with the clan. It was implausible for Ms. Zheng to oppose her husband, so she chose to turn a blind eye and allow her husband to claim all the profits from the mulberry garden, solely to safeguard her son and herself. As long as the deed remained in his possession, there was still a long road ahead. However, now that Zhao Shu had sold the mulberry garden, Zhao Mu stood to lose all the benefits. Third brother, where is the money from the sale of the mulberry garden? Upon hearing the term unfilial son used to address him, Zhao Shu found it absurd. But the change in his father's demeanor indicated one thing. He was now somewhat afraid of him. He was no longer as nonchalant, casual, and indifferent as before. When his father wasn't afraid of him, it didn't concern Zhao Shu. However, now that he wouldn't hold back. Zhao Shu didn't immediately respond. Instead, he turned to Ms.Qin. It appears that concubine Qin hasn't learned when to remain silent or recognized her place. She dares to inquire about matters that don't concern her. Does Ms. Zheng's mulberry garden have any relevance to you? Is the money yours? You are not entitled to the proceeds from Ms. Zheng's mulberry garden. How audacious! Zhao Yi became visibly agitated, his face turning red. Don't go too far. It has consistently been concubine Qin, and you who have gone too far. Zhao Shu retorted coldly. Are you attempting to threaten or caution me? You lack the qualifications to do so. It appears both of you have forgotten your true positions. How about we share this tale with others so they can pass judgment? Ms.Qin and Zhao Yi were infuriated. Zhao Shu experienced a mix of satisfaction and bitterness. The bitter part was that Ms.Qin and her son had inflicted immense pain on his mother. His mother was deeply hurt. Faced with a woman like Ms.Qin, who frequently feigned weakness and tears, his mother couldn't take action against her for his sake, allowing her to do as she pleased. She must have been seething with anger, grief, and restraint deep within her heart. Chapter 1254. Ms.Qin's guilt. But in this moment he felt no obligation to concern himself with anything. He had reached his breaking point with the trio, and their dealings with the demon were of no concern to him. He could taunt them without restraint. So what if they were infuriated? So what if Zhao Mu seethed with anger? Did he care? Yet the absence of his mother weighed heavily on him. Ms.Qin was so humiliated that tears flowed freely from her eyes. She turned towards Zhao Mu, her voice trembling with emotion. Master, I've dedicated countless years to your service and given birth to 2 of your sons. I've toiled tirelessly for you and the Zhao family. Haven't I earned some respect? I'm already a grandmother, and the shame is too much to bear. Zhao Mu furrowed his brows, agreeing with Ms.Qin. He had always been captivated by her beauty and grace, and he harbored no fondness for Zhao Shu. He shot an irked glance at Zhao Shu. Enough, third brother, enough. Zhao Shu grinned. So you see my point too? You may not consider this pressing, but I believe it's a matter of utmost importance that demands thorough discussion. After all, our family lacks clear hierarchy and rules. We risk being ridiculed and scorned by outsiders, and chaos may befall our family. Grandmother, you say? You're merely a concubine. Who do you think you are? No one addresses you as grandma. When did you become my father's stepmother? Ms.Qin's body quivered, her lips quaking, and her face turned ashen. She clenched her teeth to stifle her urge to scream. Inwardly, she seethed with curses, wishing she could tear Zhao Shu apart. Dad, Zhao Shu smirked as he addressed Zhao Mu. I've noticed you have several concubines, and you're in the prime of your life. Yet, none of them have borne any children in recent years. It's rather peculiar, don't you think? Could it be that someone doesn't want you to have more offspring? I suggest you investigate this matter. What are you implying, third young master? Ms.Qin let out a piercing scream. She needlessly succumbed to panic. Little did she realize that Zhao Shu's intention was merely to rile her up, to stir trouble for his own amusement. He thrived on such provocations. This was not her first encounter with his selfish and malicious nature. She lacked foresight, driven solely by immediate gains, with no regard for the future. Consequently, there was nothing she wouldn't dare. She acted impulsively, pursuing her desires without restraint. With 2 sons of her own, she refused to let any other woman bear more children. As for the consequences of her actions, and what would happen if she were ever discovered, she had never contemplated these long-term implications. But when Zhao Shu suddenly broached the topic, an unsettling feeling gripped her. She couldn't quite grasp Zhao Shu's intentions. After all, he had inherited a fair share of Ms. Zheng's loyal attendants, making it not entirely implausible for him to unearth some hidden truths. Her anxiety caused a flicker of surprise to cross her face. Zhao Mu, who hadn't previously pondered these matters, found himself growing suspicious. Zhao Yi shot a venomous glare at Zhao Shu and silently lamented that his mother must have been deeply shaken. Something must have transpired. He reassured them, Mom, no, Ms. Concubine, please don't be distressed. I know the kind of people you are, and I trust in your character. There's no need for sorrow. Chapter 1255. Get out. Ms.Qin's reaction was swift. She instinctively shielded her face and began sobbing, her emotions appearing more like anger and sorrow than panic. Zhao Shu, on the other hand, responded with a contemptuous sneer, oozing sarcasm. He had no intention of engaging in an argument with them. If his father became suspicious, mere excuses wouldn't suffice to divert his attention. It was nothing short of a fantasy. Zhao Yi, with a cynical tone, interjected. Third brother, don't attempt to change the subject. Surely, you haven't squandered all the money? Zhao Mu turned his gaze towards Zhao Shu, fully expecting a response. Zhao Shu remained composed, determined to address this issue head-on. Zhao Yi's unexpected visit held deeper implications, and he wasn't about to let it slide. It's inconsequential how much money I possess, and it certainly doesn't concern you. Even if I did spend it all, that's my prerogative. What does it matter to you? If you're envious, why not scrounge up a couple of million yuan for yourself? Oh wait, you can't, can you? Because you're penniless. Zhao Yi bit his lip, struggling to contain his anger. He reminded himself that his father would surely reprimand his third brother. Growing impatient, Zhao Mu prioritized his silk and weaving enterprises, brushing aside other matters. It was evident that his third son had lost his composure today. As long as Ms.Qin and her son were present, he intended to deliver a message to them. With a stern tone, Zhao Mu addressed Ms.Qin and Zhao Yi. "You may leave now." Ms.Qin trembled, and Zhao Yi was taken aback by his father's abrupt decision. The mother and son experienced a blend of humiliation and anger, while also harboring an underlying sense of fear. The notion of not allowing them to eavesdrop left them perplexed. Could it be that the old master intended to bestow a significant role upon Zhao Shu? However, Zhao Shu didn't dwell on such thoughts. He remained indifferent to Zhao Mu's plans. What mattered most to him was the satisfaction of seeing Zhao Mu dismiss the mother and son. "Concubine Qin, are you hard of hearing? I explicitly instructed you to leave." Zhao Mu remained silent, torn between his son's abrupt command and the presence of Ms.Qin and Zhao Yi, who stood bewildered. Zhao Yi snorted dismissively in an attempt to defend himself. "Dad wants to have a private conversation with you, showing you respect, Mom. Let's go." Zhao Shu retorted bluntly. "Just leave already." With clenched teeth, Zhao Yi held back further comments and departed with Ms.Qin, his face dark with frustration. However, both mother and son appeared disoriented by the sudden turn of events. Zhao Mu had initially requested everyone's departure, but Zhao Shu insisted on retaining Uncle Qing's presence. Zhao Mu had no intention of engaging in a protracted argument. He simply needed funds, and that's what he asked of Zhao Shu. Smiling faintly, Zhao Shu explained, "A total of 1.8 million liang. I collaborated with someone to trade horses, sheep, and hides in the northern regions. I contributed the initial capital, while another party invested 1 million liang. The remaining 800,000 liang was used for expenses." Zhao Mu, growing increasingly irritated by his son's demeanor, narrowed his eyes and maintained a stoic expression, unsure whether to believe his account. Undeterred by the bleak circumstances, Zhao Shu chuckled. "Dad, you trust me, right? Well, if you don't, there's not much I can do. The fact remains that we're left with no money." Zhao Mu's breath quickened, and he sneered in response. "Regardless, I'm certain you're telling the truth. Zhao Shu, don't think I can't deal with you. Never forget that you're still a part of the Zhao family. If you continue to act so selfishly and callously, I won't spare a single penny of our assets for you." Chapter 1256. Not good enough. "Think twice before you speak," Zhao Mu warned. Zhao Mu harbored a few tricks up his sleeve, and he wasted no time getting to the point. If Zhao Shu refused to relinquish the family properties, Zhao Mu would employ tactics to make him step back, ultimately ensuring all the money ended up in Zhao Mui's hands. However, Ms. Zheng had lost faith in Zhang Mu and continuously urged Zhao Shu to abandon the Zhao family and their assets. She envisioned a prosperous future for herself and her son once they broke free from the tainted legacy of the Zhao family. Zhao Shu heeded his mother's advice and distanced himself from Zhao Mu and the Zhao family. He no longer considered himself a part of their lineage, and couldn't care less about their wealth. He wouldn't be ensnared in Zhao Mu's trap. With a smile, Zhao Shu replied, "Very well, I have no interest in the Zhao family's money. I don't need it. By the way, should I leave your mansion? If not, I can find a place at a hostel." Zhao Mu questioned him with urgency. "Are you absolutely sure about this? The Zhao family's assets are worth over 10 million yuan. You're truly willing to relinquish them?" "I couldn't care less if it's not mine." Zhao Mu offered one last chance. "I'll give you one more opportunity." "No need. I've made myself perfectly clear. I don't want what's yours, and you don't need to worry about what's mine." "Ungrateful child, leave this instant." Zhao Shu chuckled and departed, but he had no intention of going to a hostel. Not now. Instead, he returned to his own residence, accompanied by Uncle Qing and several servants. Returning to the ancestral home to fulfill his filial duties towards his mother, Zhao Shu found his yard locked and neglected for years. Ms.Qin was determined to erase all traces of the mother and son's presence, ensuring no one tended to their needs. Zhao Shu requested someone to unlock the yard, and Uncle Qing, along with a few servants, set to work cleaning the main bedroom. Standing in the yard, hands clasped behind his back, Zhao Shu gazed up at the magnolia tree he had planted with his mother. When it was first planted, the seedling had been no larger than a copper coin, fragile and slender. After several years of absence, it had thrived. Lush leaves adorned its branches, and delicate buds densely clung to them, promising imminent blossoms. In just a few days, it would be a breathtaking sight, blanketed in snowy white flowers and wispy clouds. Regrettably, his mother would never witness it again. Each time the recent tragic incident crossed his mind, it abruptly halted his thoughts. His mother's life had ended so suddenly. How could he not feel resentment? Zhao Mu seethed with anger, his chest tightening. He continued to berate his disobedient son, but it brought him no solace. Beyond his irritation at Zhao Shu's defiance, a subtle unease and melancholy gnawed at him. It seemed he was on the verge of losing his son. However, his mood shifted as he learned that Zhao Shu was residing in his former yard. Confidence returned to him, and he sneered. He believed he would emerge victorious. After all, the Zhao family's wealth was vast, and even Zhao Shu couldn't afford to part with it. Zhao Mu saw Zhao Shu's actions as mere provocations. If his son genuinely didn't care, why linger here? There was no need to rush. They could afford to wait and observe. Zhao Mu consoled himself, convinced he was still too young and inexperienced to contend with him. The money would ultimately come to him. It was no small sum, and he was determined to secure it. Zhao Yi saw Ms.Qin back to the yard and asked all the servants to leave. Chapter 1257. One end. Ms.Qin clutched her chest, her tears flowing freely. Yi, that wretched man is pure evil. What is he doing here? Why hasn't he met his end outside? We must devise a plan to rid ourselves of him. Zhao Yi seethed with irritation, humiliation, and rage. When he had first entered the mansion, he was but a mere child, fully aware of his status as a lowly concubine's offspring, miles apart from the rightful heir of the Zhao family. The moment he set foot inside the Zhao mansion, it left him awestruck. He had never beheld such opulence, such an exquisite abode, or tasted such sumptuous fare. From that day forward, avarice began to creep into his heart. Ms. Zheng had shown mercy, refraining from tormenting the trio, which only stoked his arrogance. As he grew older, his ambition and greed swelled beneath the surface. He concealed his true nature, yet in reality, he had long ceased to care about Ms. Zheng and Zhao Shu. In his eyes, mother and son were merely insignificant entities. He believed that eventually, the entire family would fall into his hands. Then tragedy struck when Ms. Zheng met her untimely demise in an accident. Zhao Shu spent an additional 3 years at their ancestral home, cementing the trio's dominion over the mansion. No one dared to challenge him. He reveled in his untroubled existence and in the process, forgot his humble origins as the son of a concubine. However, the arrival of the legitimate heir shattered his illusions. He couldn't bear the thought of humiliation before Ms.Qin. Yet he concealed his turmoil, for he knew that, apart from being a laughingstock, he had little else to offer. Mother, fret not. Even if the mulberry garden is lost, father will surely recover the money owed to him. The legitimate heir can't outmatch father, can he? If father requests the funds, he'll have no choice but to yield. I truly hope he doesn't. If he doesn't, father will never forgive him, and he'll be forced to leave the mansion. A sinister gleam crossed Zhao Yi's countenance. That would be ideal. If the legitimate heir departed the Zhao family and Hangzhou altogether, he would stop at nothing to ensure their separation, reuniting him with his mother. Ms.Qin clenched her teeth. He's not a fool. He wouldn't genuinely incur your father's wrath. The Zhao family is far too prominent, and he knows how to avoid crossing your father. Mom, there's a long road ahead. If he doesn't offend father today, we'll find ways for him to do so in the future. In truth, it doesn't matter if he actually offends father. As long as father deems him unfilial, then he is. What right does he have to claim the Zhao family's assets? Ms.Qin's eyes gleamed, her sneer laden with malice. You're absolutely right. In that case, he should remain in the mansion, shouldn't he? Zhao Yi smiled in agreement. Whether he stayed or left, his fate was sealed, with no alternative outcome in sight. While I'm at it, I'm concerned that your father may take a second wife. Yi, help me find a way to prevent him from doing so. Zhao Yi found himself at a loss for words. He didn't desire a legitimate mother in the household either. Chapter 1258, Great Space. If his mother assumed control over the family, it would be preferable to entrust the household to any other woman. Only in her capable hands did he truly feel like the rightful heir. Regrettably, he couldn't alter that reality. Mom, don't fret. Dad is preoccupied with thoughts of the weaving workshop and silk. He scarcely considers this matter. Even if he genuinely intends to marry her, it will be months before it crosses his mind. The wedding might not occur until year-end or even next year. We still have ample time. Mom, what if we forge connections with the matchmakers in Hangzhou? If we can't prevent them, we can at least ascertain which girls might be suitable for father. A glimmer of hope appeared in Ms.Qin's eyes as she beamed at him. Yi, you genuinely care for your mother and think on her behalf. She might even persuade Zhao Mu to wed the girl she favored as his second wife, without Zhao Mu's awareness. What he needed was a capable household manager, and the intervention of a skilled matchmaker. There was considerable room for maneuvering. They simply needed to expend a bit more money. She was no longer the penniless woman of the past. She possessed substantial wealth, and matchmakers would undoubtedly be drawn to her. You are my son, and it's my son's duty to look out for his mother, Zhao Yi replied with a smile, casually adding. Speaking of which, shouldn't elder brother have returned from the governmental office by now? Why hasn't he joined us yet? Only then did Ms.Qin remember her eldest son. Annoyance washed over her. I wouldn't have overlooked this if you hadn't reminded me. But where is he? Going for a stroll while there's a family matter to attend to? How can he be so carefree? Ms.Qin was distinctly displeased. With Zhao Zhai's presence, the three of them would carry more authority than just the two of them. Moreover, Zhao Zhai was a forthright man who wouldn't tolerate any nonsense from Zhao Shu. He might even resort to physical violence. Zhao Shu undoubtedly warranted such treatment. Zhao Yi was consumed by jealousy. Witnessing his mother chastise his elder brother, he found himself defending him and trying to dissuade his mother. As for Zhao Zhai, he had not gone out for a leisurely walk. As Ms.Qin had anticipated, he couldn't wait to return to Zhao Shu's residence and confront him. However, an unfortunate accident had occurred. Ms.Qin had taken a nasty fall, leaving her ankle swollen like a steamed bun. She had to be carried back to the yard, where she lay in bed, groaning and urgently calling for a doctor. Upon hearing the news, Ms.Qin went to visit Zhao Zhai, her heart aching for him as she saw his distress. Ms.Qin found some solace in hearing Zhao Zhai berate Zhao Shu. Later in the afternoon, Zhao Yi paid a visit to Zhao Zhai. Instead of quarreling, the two brothers found common ground in their opposition to outsiders. Zhao Zhai was acutely aware of this fact. However, he soon found himself misled by Zhao Yi once more. After Zhao Yi's departure, Zhao Zhai couldn't help but contemplate seeking revenge against Zhao Shu. A legitimate son? He had no mother, no father, and even his maternal relatives had vanished. So what if he was the legitimate son? He was merely the son of a concubine, and he was determined to make life miserable for the legitimate son, dragging him through the mud. What was wrong with that? By the time he was done, the legitimate son would learn not to trifle with him. But the Zhao family hadn't anticipated that circumstances would change so rapidly. The next day, a representative from the Zhao family arrived, requesting Zhao Shu to pass on the inheritance. They intended to adopt the deceased brother of the clan's leader as the rightful heir. Naturally, Zhao Shu bestowed numerous advantages upon the clan leader, delighting him immensely. Zhao Shu was more than eager to do so. This strategy ensured that he wouldn't be under the direct authority of the senior members and, moreover, allowed him to distance himself entirely from Zhao Mu. Stunned and incensed, Zhao Mu refused to let this scenario unfold. Despite his personal animosity towards Zhao Shu, He couldn't overlook the fact that Zhao Shu was his sole legitimate son. Chapter 1259, Not Truth. His sole heir was about to be adopted. How could he be so shameless? The chief and the clan elders produced Ms. Zheng's letter along with the signed evidence. Zhao Mu's face alternated between shades of crimson and pallor, leaving him so embarrassed that he wished for nothing more than to disappear into the ground. He had never anticipated that even Zhao Shu, his own kin, had underestimated the extent of Ms. Zheng's preparation. It was Auntie Qing who had safeguarded the letter, eventually passing it on to Zhao Shu when he made the decision to return to Hangzhou. Without hesitation, Zhao Shu had gone to the clan elders before making his journey back to Hangzhou. At home, he was hailed as a paragon of filial piety to his mother for 3 whole years. Furthermore, Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing stood by him throughout those 500 meters for 3 years, treating the senior clan members with the utmost respect and reverence. Their actions garnered praise from the entire family. Zhao Shu had hinted at offering substantial incentives, so why had the chief and group within the clan not come to his aid? The chief was acutely aware that if he did not assist Zhao Shu, he would expose the contents of the letter to the public, leading to Ms. Zhao's humiliation and potentially tarnishing Zhao Mu's reputation as well. The letter clearly revealed the relationship between Zhao Mu and Ms.Qin. Zhao Mu had harbored affection for Ms.Qin, and she had, at one point, broken off her engagement with her former fiancé, who had tragically passed away within 2 years. While it was an unfortunate accident, Zhao Mu certainly hadn't taken any sinister actions against Ms.Qin. However, there was a glaring loophole that could be exploited to create a scandal. Rumors spread without cost, and there was no easy way to counter them. Adding to the complexity, Zhao Mu had fathered 2 sons with his concubines after his marriage. He had even coerced his wife into covering up for him. It was implausible that Ms. Zheng had acted willingly in this matter. With Ms. Zheng now deceased, a great many people would undoubtedly sympathize with her plight. Zhao Mu feared that his reputation would be irreparably tarnished. The entire Zhao family would undoubtedly suffer the consequences as well. It was a situation Zhao Mu was desperate to avoid. With a sneer, Zhao Shu remarked, "Just sign it, old Master Zhao. You already have 2 capable sons and grandchildren. What's the point in holding on to me? You never truly cared for me, did you?" Zhao Mu retorted with a sneer of his own. "If you're no longer my son, don't even think about receiving a fraction of the Zhao family's wealth." This tired argument once again reared its head. Without hesitation, Zhao Shu simply said, "All right." At this juncture, no amount of anger could change anything for Zhao Mu. In the presence of the chief and the elders, Zhao Shu's name was formally stricken from the Zhao lineage, replaced with the designation of brother of the chief. Remarkably, Zhao Shu made no claims on the Zhao family's assets. He made it clear that he would be leaving today. Ms.Qin and Zhao Yi were overjoyed, particularly Ms.Qin, who couldn't conceal her elation. She was poised to take charge of her own family's destiny, a prospect that brought her immense happiness. Zhao Shu did express his intent to claim his mother's dowry, which was explicitly mentioned in her letter as bequeathed to her lineal son. Unimpressed, Zhao Mu sneered, "Since you've been adopted, you can no longer be considered Ms. Zheng's son. Her dowry is no concern of yours." Zhao Shu asserted, "It's entirely reasonable for a woman's dowry to be designated for her children. I'm simply adhering to my mother's wishes in order to safeguard my rights. Don't you believe in your own authority over your dowry? If she stated her intention to give it to me, then it's rightfully mine. Should old Master Zhao refuse, I won't hesitate to report this matter to the authorities." Zhao Mu harbored doubts about his chances of success should he pursue legal action. After all, Zhao Shu possessed Ms. Zheng's written directive, and as he correctly pointed out, Ms. Zheng had the legal right to allocate her dowry as she saw fit, as it constituted her private property, separate from the Zhao family's assets. Chapter 1260, Half. Even though Zhao Shu was not legally recognized as her son, she still had the authority to bestow her dowries upon him if she wished. Ultimately, after some negotiation, Zhao Shu reluctantly consented to claim only half of his mother's dowry. However, he intended to do so today, with the chief as a witness, to prevent any potential denial or interference from Old Master Zhao. Zhao Mu's expression darkened, and he refrained from further comment, determined to maintain his composure in the presence of the family's elders and leaders. Ms. Zheng's dowry was exceptionally generous, and even if this ungrateful son took only half of it, she would still be left with a substantial sum. Ms.Qin's heart ached. She sided with Old Master's perspective. Zhao Shu was an adopted member of the family, and the dowry rightfully belonged to the Zhao family as a whole. She wanted to voice her opinion, but Zhao Shu's derogatory term, concubine, silenced her, reminding her of her subordinate position. To speak up would only invite further humiliation from Zhao Shu. Unexpectedly, when they began to inventory Ms. Zheng's dowry in her chambers and storage area, they discovered it had vanished. It wasn't a complete disappearance. According to the dowry ledger, all the valuable items had vanished. What remained were less valuable items such as silk and satin, vases, and large pieces of furniture. The precious items, including gold, silver, jewelry, exquisite jade artifacts, a valuable fur coat, yellow rosewood furniture, 16 or 12 double-sided embroidered screens, and renowned calligraphy and paintings from a bygone dynasty, had all mysteriously disappeared. There was scarcely anything left. What's happening here? How did this happen? Zhao Shu's expression shifted from shock to anger. Zhao Mu was equally bewildered, his face contorted in disbelief. The chief and the others present shared the same astonishment. Old Master Zhao, can you provide an explanation for this? Zhao Shu's outward fury concealed his inner amusement. His mother had indeed been astute. Bit by bit, the dowry items had been discreetly moved out of the Zhao mansion. It appeared that Zhao Mu had been completely oblivious to these developments. Ms.Qin, too, seemed clueless about the situation. Infuriated, Zhao Mu exclaimed, I have no idea what's going on. I didn't do this. Zhao Shu sneered sarcastically. So we're not at the Zhao mansion right now, and you claim ignorance? Who has overseen the inner residence all these years? Instinctively, Zhao Mu turned to Ms.Qin, prompting the chief and the others to follow suit, their expressions laced with suspicion and disdain. How could she have the audacity to pilfer the dowry of the family's matriarch? In their eyes, it was an act unbefitting someone of her limited worldly experience. Ms.Qin never anticipated being accused of such a crime, and was visibly taken aback. I don't know. I didn't do it. I didn't take anything. With a mocking tone, Zhao Shu retorted. Is that so? Did my mother's dowry simply vanish into thin air? How could I possibly know? Ms.Qin's anger flared as she replied. The door has always been locked, and no one has ever opened it. How could I have any knowledge of what transpired? Zhao Shu smirked, provoking her further. Interesting. So because the door was always locked, no one could have entered. Is that your claim? Frustration surged within Ms.Qin as she exclaimed. I don't know, but I swear I had nothing to do with it. Panic gripped her as she struggled to make her innocence clear, despite being completely baffled by the unfolding situation. Chapter 1261. Ms.Qin. If she couldn't explain clearly, that would be a disaster. Zhao Shu's attention wasn't focused on her. After compelling her to utter some futile words, Zhao Shu addressed Zhao Mu with an icy tone, saying, There's no use in discussing this further. Old Master Zhao, what are your thoughts on this matter? What else could Zhao Mu possibly say? The dowries couldn't have vanished without reason. It had to be Ms.Qin. It was either Ms.Qin or Zhao Zhai and Zhao Yi, or perhaps their daughter-in-law. A wave of embarrassment washed over him. Just grant me a few days. I'm afraid that won't suffice, Zhao Shu replied coldly. I'm not interested in your family's affairs. I only want my share. I have no desire to linger here any longer. Hand over my share, and I'll have no further involvement. Otherwise, I'll be compelled to report this to the authorities and let them decide. Ms.Qin anxiously interjected. Please don't accuse us. No one has entered this courtyard before, and none of us took anything. Maybe Madame Qin moved them herself? Ms.Qin. Zhao Shu erupted in anger. My mother is gone, and you're attempting to blame her? You're taking advantage of her inability to defend herself? She moved them herself? She couldn't possibly have foreseen her gruesome demise, and decided to deal with her dowries beforehand. Furthermore, my mother had so many dowries, it wouldn't be easy to move them. No one in the mansion knew about this. Can't you come up with a more believable lie? I'm warning you, if you dare to defame my mother again, I'll take physical action. Ms.Qin seethed with frustration but dared not utter a word. Yet, deep down, she knew the truth about whether she was carrying anything. The reality was she hadn't taken anything at all. She didn't take it, and her sons couldn't have tampered with it either. Otherwise, she would have been aware of it. Old Master didn't need to be involved either. Zhao Shu wanted to take action, but he couldn't return. If his men did return, he would surely assign someone to keep a close watch, leaving him powerless. So who else could be responsible? Old Master. Ms.Qin implored, her voice trembling, addressing Zhao Mu. I truly didn't take it, I swear. Old Master, please believe me. Zhao Mu turned pale, speechless. Believe? How could he possibly believe her? Zhao Yi silently moved his lips, lowered his head, and retreated a few steps, saying nothing. In truth, he even harbored doubts that his mother had anything to do with Ms. Zheng's dowries. While his mother sounded sincere and didn't appear to be lying, she had always been adept at feigning innocence. That was something he knew all too well. In fact, Zhao Mu shared similar suspicions. He was aware of Ms. Qin's skill in pretense. However, he wasn't particularly bothered by it. Sometimes, when he observed her conduct in his presence, he found it rather amusing. But interrogating her in front of so many witnesses wasn't an option. It would only lead to humiliation if she couldn't endure it any longer. Zhao Shu wasn't ready to give up. His frustration grew to the point where he reluctantly agreed to wait until the next day. The chief and the others let out collective sighs. They were now compelled to remain at the Zhao mansion and await the resolution. They had committed to making a decision at Zhao Shu's insistence, and they had to unravel this mystery. Furthermore, human nature's innate curiosity kept everyone engaged in the unfolding drama. No one was eager to leave until the conclusion was reached. Chapter 1262. Really sad. Zhao Mu confronted Ms. Qin in private, and, growing increasingly impatient, pressed her to reveal the truth. Ms. Qin sobbed uncontrollably, struggling to catch her breath as she vehemently denied any wrongdoing. However, her tendency to cry and complain at the slightest provocation, a behavior witnessed countless times before, led Zhao Mu to dismiss her protestations as mere habit. He remained skeptical of her honesty. Frustrated by her continued resistance, Zhao Mu's anger flared, culminating in 2 sharp slaps and an ultimatum. She must confess. Ms. Qin, hands shielding her face, wept bitterly, genuinely distressed this time. She was acutely aware of the trust Old Master had in her. She wasn't lying. Why did no one believe her when she swore by her honesty? Ms. Qin couldn't fathom the disbelief surrounding her. Nevertheless, she possessed a certain resilience. Whether she admitted to any wrongdoing or not didn't matter much in the grand scheme. What truly weighed on her mind was the fact that Zhao Shu held Ms. Zheng's dowry in his grasp, and compensation was scheduled for tomorrow. Even half of the dowry amounted to a considerable sum. The Zheng family owned an impressive 100,000 mu of mulberry fields. While they'd only had them for a mere 3 or 4 years since Ms. Zheng's marriage, they'd managed to amass a significant fortune. Growing increasingly irate at Ms. Qin's persistent tears, Old Master Zhao berated her and ordered her to stay within the premises, forbidding any unwarranted excursions from the yard. He also prohibited Zhao Zhai, Zhao Yi, and their spouses from visiting her. Instead, he summoned Zhao Zhai and Zhao Yi to discuss how to address the situation with Zhao Shu. Zhao Zhai's injured ankle had yet to heal, forcing him to be transported here in a wicker litter. Before Old Master Zhao uttered a word, Zhao Zhai couldn't contain his frustration and let out a string of curses. They derided Zhao Shu as shameless, ruthless, and unscrupulous. Why should they even entertain his money demands? After all, Ms. Zheng's dowries were the property of the Zhao family as well. Though his scolding did nothing to resolve the issue, it did provide a certain satisfaction. Zhao Yu and Zhao Yi, being Ms.Qin's sons, had inherited some of her cunning. One had learned her tricks, and the other had inherited her guile. The three of them were left with no option but to tally up the liquid assets from the intermediate and have someone open the storeroom to retrieve the valuables. The following day, Zhao Mu attempted to appeal to familial bonds and urged Zhao Shu to join their cause. If the clan leader and the elderly men were to depart, Zhao Shu might receive his compensation. However, Zhao Shu had no interest in wasting any more time with them. They had to compensate him. Otherwise, he would report the matter to the governmental office, prompting a thorough investigation. Stealing the dowries of the family's mistress was a grave offense. Once the governmental office initiated an inquiry, it would bring disgrace upon the Zhao family. Annoyed and exasperated, Zhao Mu had no choice but to comply. In the end, they compensated Zhao Shu with 80,000 liang in currency, along with an assortment of antiques, jade, jewelry and 3 sizable chests, with a total estimated value of roughly 130,000 to 140,000 liang. This underscored the immense worth of Ms. Zheng's dowries. The clan leader and the clan elders were nearly incredulous. Without hesitation, Zhao Shu accepted the money and promptly left the Zhao family. He was straightforward, offering the clan leader and the others 10,000 liang, and permitting them to select 2 items from the 3 large chests. The clan leader and the elders were overjoyed, treating Zhao Shu as one of their own. They warmly consoled and thanked him. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1263. Request. Zhao Mu was wealthy, but his wealth was his alone. He possessed a selfish disposition, offering little benefit to the clan. In contrast, Zhao Shu was far less generous than Zhao Shu. Their haul exceeded 10,000 liang, with each of them potentially receiving 1,000 to 2,000 liang, alongside 2 valuable antiques for emergencies. With prudent management, this windfall could secure the family's well-being for decades. Returning home, Zhao Shu wore a contented smile. That evening, they selected 1/3 of the treasures and brought 30,000 liang to visit Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian at the hostel. Please accept these humble offerings, Officer Xiao and Madam Xiao, Zhao Shu said, eager yet worried about their response. Officer Xiao, Madam Xiao, I insist, consider these gifts a token of our gratitude. Xiao Xian couldn't help but chuckle. Young Master Zhao, since you acquired these freely, we won't stand in your way. Madam Xiao, please do not feel obligated, insisted Zhao Shu, known for his kind-heartedness, refusing to take back the gifts. Had it not been for Madam Xiao's ingenious plan, we might have left empty-handed. We couldn't have extracted a piece of their wealth before departing. Furthermore, there is another matter I would appreciate your assistance with. Xiao Xian gracefully accepted Zhao Shu's offer, exchanging glances with Xiao Yunduan, who nodded approvingly while accepting the money. Young Master Zhao, we are partners in business, so there's no need to mention it. Zhao Shu sighed deeply. I want my mother to divorce Zhao Mu, but I fear he won't agree easily. Still, I wish to attempt it. My mother and I would rather be interred with my grandparents than have any ties to Zhao Mu, he added with a touch of bitterness. In truth, if I had a choice, I'd prefer to leave the Zhao family and join the Zheng family, but that's not feasible. Understanding the situation, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian exchanged knowing glances. Changing his surname for no reason was out of the question. The Zhao family would never allow it. Furthermore, even if he were to depart from the Zhao family, the Zheng family might not readily accept him. If they did, they would likely demand substantial benefits, potentially even hounding him for more than he could bear. Leaving Zhao Mu was already the best possible outcome for him, considering the circumstances. It appeared that securing a divorce for Ms. Zheng would prove to be a formidable challenge. Zhao Shu mustered a strained smile. I recognize that my request is quite audacious, and the path ahead is far from easy. If Officer Xiao and Madam Xiao happen to have any insightful suggestions, I would greatly appreciate them. If not, we can let it rest. Xiao Xian offered him a sympathetic glance. The constraints of ancient customs were beyond their control. After some contemplation, Xiao Yunduan chuckled. Let's give it a shot. Those IOUs you possess might prove to be valuable. Zhao Shu was taken aback. Xiao Xian had already caught on to Xiao Yunduan's plan, smiling as she elaborated. My husband is onto something. Those IOUs can be leverage. It all hinges on whether old Master Zhao is more inclined to part with his money or divorce. I believe young Master Zhao, you can anticipate his choice, right? Zhao Shu's face lit up with hope. He nodded and grinned. Indeed, why didn't I think of that? His attachment to his wealth is undeniable. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1264. Visit. He prioritized his wealth, often neglecting other aspects of his life. Xiao Xian flashed a knowing smile and reassured. You may be adopted, but you share his bloodline and there's nothing you can do about it. I'll stand by your side. Xiao Yunduan, constrained by his status, couldn't directly involve himself in certain matters. He couldn't even visit the vast 100,000 mu mulberry fields, leaving Xiao Xian to handle it alone. Zhao Shu expressed his deep gratitude and guilt as he felt the gifts he had brought were inadequate. He vowed to make it up to her next time. After Zhao Shu departed, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan pondered the situation. Xiao Xian relished the idea of getting involved in Zhao Mu's troubles. The more miserable Zhao Mu became, the happier she felt. She was determined to make the most of the generous gift from Zhao Shu, not wanting to disappoint him. Xiao Yunduan wasn't worried about their actions. He knew that Zhao Mu cherished his wealth and properties, making him cautious not to act recklessly. However, he suggested, let's have Sun Qian and Sun Bai join us. Both Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had complete confidence in Sun Qian and Sun Bai due to their reliable skills. The next day, Xiao Xian, accompanied by Sun Bai and Li Xia, paid a visit to the Zhao family. Upon hearing that Madame Xiao, the owner of the 100,000 mulberry fields, had come, Zhao Mu was pleasantly surprised. He assumed Xiao Xian was interested in the silk production from the mulberry fields, and went out to personally welcome her. Xiao Xian, considering that Madame Xiao might feel uncomfortable being alone, paused and requested someone to fetch Ms.Qin to keep her company. But when he remembered that Ms.Qin was just a concubine, Zhao Mu hesitated. Madame Xiao might be infuriated if a mere concubine served her. He couldn't help but berate himself for forgetting such a crucial detail. In the grand hall, Zhao Mu treated Xiao Xian with utmost politeness. Zhao Mu couldn't conceal his surprise at how young Xiao Xian appeared. He covertly observed her and noted her exceptional demeanor. She spoke with confidence and showed no signs of fear, compelling him to treat her with due respect. Please do not take offense, old Master Zhao, Xiao Xian responded. I am truly honored, Madame Xiao. It is a privilege for the Zhao family to host you. You are most welcome, Madame Xiao, Zhao Mu replied, exchanging pleasantries. Xiao Xian's courteous manner further convinced Zhao Mu that she had come for the silk. The silk produced from 100,000 mu of mulberry fields was substantial, and he was the primary customer, making it a logical assumption. With her presence, Zhao Mu believed he held the upper hand in the situation, allowing him to remain patient and discern her intentions. Zhao Mu felt a sense of assurance, internally smirking at what he perceived as a woman's inability to maintain control. He couldn't fathom why old Master Xiao had entrusted a decision of this magnitude to someone like her. Unaware of Zhao Mu's thoughts, Xiao Xian sensed his prideful demeanor. She wondered about the source of his self-assuredness. After a brief moment, Xiao Xian smiled and said, Old Master Zhao, I am here upon someone's request, and I have a matter of great significance to discuss with you. It pertains to that person's private life, so I implore you, old Master Zhao, to remove any irrelevant individuals from our conversation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1265. Angry Zhao Mu's eyes widened in surprise, caught off guard by Qiao Xian's unexpected revelation. He couldn't fathom what Qiao Xian was alluding to, and so he decided to remain patient and let her elaborate. "Madam Zhao, you have me intrigued," he responded, his curiosity piqued. "I may not fully comprehend your intentions, but I am willing to listen to what you have to say." With a subtle smile, Zhao Mu gestured to the servants to exit the room, leaving only the housekeeper behind to ensure their privacy. Qiao Xian paused briefly before addressing him directly. "Old Master Zhao, young Master Zhao has entrusted me with a delicate matter concerning Madame Zheng and Old Master Zhao's potential divorce." Zhao Mu's initial reaction was one of disbelief, and his face turned crimson with a mixture of anger and humiliation. The fact that an outsider like Qiao Xian was privy to such a sensitive family matter implied that his own son had divulged everything about their family affairs, intensifying his sense of shame. "Madam Zhao, this is going too far," Zhao Mu exclaimed, his voice shaking with indignation. "This is a matter concerning my family, and you have no right to interfere. Even my unfilial son should not have disclosed this. I had thought you to be a reasonable person. Am I wrong?" Qiao Xian responded with a light chuckle, trying to maintain her composure. "Old Master Zhao, please don't be upset, and allow me to clarify my position. I pride myself on being a reasonable individual." Zhao Mu sneered inwardly, thinking, "I won't back down. Am not afraid of you." He then looked at Qiao Xian with a challenging expression. Qiao Xian continued with a calm demeanor. "Old Master Zhao, let's discuss reason." As she spoke, Qiao Xian placed 2 IOU notes in front of Zhao Mu. He stared at them in shock, his eyes widening. "What is the meaning of this? How did you come into possession of these IOUs?" Qiao Xian maintained her composed smile, but didn't offer an explanation. Gritting his teeth, Zhao Mu concluded, "It must have been Zhao Shu. That ungrateful son must have given them to you." Qiao Xian replied gently, "Old Master Zhao, let us refrain from such labels. Young Master Zhao is no longer part of the family, and you no longer have any paternal rights over him. Calling him ungrateful seems inappropriate when he is no longer your son." Zhao Mu was left speechless, grappling with the weight of Qiao Xian's words. Zhao Mu shot an intense glare at Qiao Xian, now fully aware that dealing with Madame Zhao was not going to be a straightforward task. "Madame Zhao," he began, attempting to salvage the situation. "Perhaps it would be wise for us to maintain some semblance of mutual respect, considering our potential future interactions. Your silk business aligns with our workshop's interests, as we are the largest in Hangzhou. Cooperation could be mutually beneficial. What are your thoughts on this, Madame Zhao?" Qiao Xian responded with a serene smile. "Indeed, I have no immediate concerns about selling silk. Hangzhou can serve as a hub for distribution to other regions. If I don't sell all my goods this year, there's no harm in carrying them over to the next. My financial gains remain secure. Isn't that right, Old Master Zhao?" However, Zhao Mu couldn't ignore the stark reality that shutting down their workshop for an entire year was simply unfeasible. Doing so would jeopardize the Zhao family's standing as the wealthiest entity in Hangzhou. Although he seethed with anger, Zhao Mu was cognizant of the fact that he had limited options when dealing with Qiao Xian. She was frustratingly making a valid point. "What is your proposition?" he finally inquired, his voice strained. "I've been approached by young Master Zhao to facilitate a divorce on behalf of his mother. If Old Master Zhao were to provide me with the necessary divorce documents, wouldn't everyone stand to benefit?" Qiao Xian suggested. Zhao Mu considered her proposal carefully before responding, his patience wearing thin. "Silk, is that your only condition? I assure you we can meet your silk supply needs, and offer them at market prices." Qiao Xian's tone grated on his nerves, but Zhao Mu had no choice but to continue the negotiations. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1266. IOUs. Yeah, Qiao Xian responded, seemingly unaware of any issues with her statement. She maintained a pleasant smile as she continued. "Your workshop is exceptionally spacious, and a minor price adjustment could potentially result in significant losses for you, correct? Are you dissatisfied with the prevailing market rates? Naturally, you can explore other suppliers, but finding an alternative source for such quantities might prove challenging. Moreover, resorting to coercive means to obtain silk would only drive up prices, costing you even more in the long run, which hardly seems worthwhile. Zhao Mu remained silent, unable to formulate a retort. He begrudgingly acknowledged the validity of Qiaoxian's argument, though he remained far from convinced. As for those IOUs, Qiaoxian shifted the conversation back to the matter at hand. There are 10 in total, correct? I now hold possession of these IOUs, and I propose a fair arrangement. I'll offer you the market price for the silk plus half the value of those IOUs in exchange for Madame Zheng's divorce papers. Old Master Zhao, do you find this to be an equitable proposition? Zhao Mu couldn't help but rue his earlier decision to decline his father-in-law's offer and sign those IOUs. Little had he known that Ms. Zheng had diligently collected them and handed them over to Zhao Shu, their ungrateful son. Zhao Shu's betrayal stung him deeply. How could he allow outsiders to meddle in their family affairs? Zhao Mu firmly believed that labeling his son as unfilial was entirely justified. Recalling that each of those 10 IOUs was worth 700,000 liang, the total sum amounted to a staggering 7 million liang. If Madame Xiao were to demand repayment, it would undoubtedly spell disaster for the Zhao family, a situation he couldn't bear to contemplate. He was determined to reclaim those IOUs at any cost, lest Madame Xiao and their disobedient son wreak havoc at any given moment, a scenario he found unacceptable. Just as Zhao Mu was about to voice his concerns, Qiaoxian swiftly interjected. Old Master Zhao, I prefer straightforward dealings and dislike haggling. I've made what I consider to be a very sincere offer. If it doesn't meet your expectations, I won't press the matter further. Reluctantly, Zhao Mu held back the words he had been poised to speak. Although they had only just met, Zhao Mu could already discern the young madame's resolute temperament. If she made such a statement, she seemed entirely capable of following through with her intentions. What worried him most was that he couldn't afford to take such a gamble. With 7 million liang in IOUs and the prospect of obtaining a divorce paper in exchange for half that amount, 3,500,000 liang. It was undoubtedly an attractive deal. Madame Xiao had displayed a remarkable level of sincerity. However, Zhao Mu had never accepted the burden of this 7 million liang debt. To him, it was a trifling sum, and even being required to pay 10,000 liang would have been a humiliating ordeal. They should never have offered the money in the first place, but it was too late for regrets now. Yet, what alternative did he have? Zhao Mu wrestled with his inner turmoil. While Qiaoxian calmly sipped her tea, Butler Zhao stood there in a state of bewilderment. Eventually Zhao Mu gave in, his voice resigned. All right, I will provide you with the 3.5 million liang, the divorce paper, and the IOUs. Old Master Zhao, you are indeed a straightforward individual. It's no wonder you've been able to amass such wealth. In that case, I'll give you 2 days to prepare. And after that, we'll settle the transaction. Qiaoxian agreed, her demeanor still composed. Inwardly cursing his predicament, Zhao Mu forced a smile and replied, Very well, but I may not have that much money readily available. Could I offer something else as collateral? Qiaoxian nodded graciously. Of course, as long as the collateral holds an equivalent value. Agreed. With that, Qiaoxian rose from her seat and offered a parting smile. All right, Old Master Zhao, you can make your preparations. I won't take up any more of your time. Goodbye. Through gritted teeth, Zhao Mu replied. Thank you, Madame Xiao. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1267. Money please, Master Zhao, Qiaoxian said. With a nod and a gentle smile, Qiaoxian departed with her entourage. In a fit of rage, Zhao Mu snatched the teacup beside him and hurled it to the ground. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Butler Zhao hung his head, wishing he could vanish into thin air. Old Master had incurred a substantial loss this time, and his fury was unsurprising. Yet, deep down, he knew that had he not disappointed Madame, matters might not have taken such a turn. It was a matter of cause and effect. Breathing heavily, Zhao Mu turned his displeased gaze toward Butler Zhao. Butler Zhao quivered, managing a strained smile. Master, examine the accounts and determine how much can be salvaged. Inspect the estate and assess the stockpile for valuable items. Butler Zhao's heart ached for Old Master. Certainly, Master. They were about to distribute a considerable amount. Terrified of becoming the target of Old Master's ire, Butler Zhao hurriedly made his exit. Zhao Mu vented his frustration for a moment, before letting out a sigh of relief. He then slowly retraced his steps to the study. He needed to contemplate his future course of action. He firmly believed that without the Zheng family, he wouldn't have risen to prominence. The Zhao family's success had been solely due to his capabilities, nothing else. As for Zhao Xu and Madame Xiao, they would soon face his wrath. No one could subject Zhao Mu to such suffering. The Zhao family could afford 3.5 million liang. The Zhao family was undeniably prosperous. In a mere half-day, Butler Zhao delivered the news that their account held a substantial 800,000 liang. Additionally, they possessed 2 well-endowed fields in the southern part of the city, spanning 20,000 mu and 6,000 mu respectively. In Hangzhou, prime fields commanded a rate of 13 taels of silver per mu. When combined with the abbeys and laborers, the 26,000 mu holdings amounted to a staggering 400,000 liang. Though the Zhao family owned a few more fields, they were undoubtedly being retained. The storage room harbored an abundance of valuable assets. Given that they had already invested 400,000 liang in acquiring an exquisite jade cabbage, they could potentially procure an additional 500,000 liang. Not to mention a towering pair of red coral pieces valued at approximately 400,000 liang. Furthermore, there was a complete set of Yuezheng tea sets, a pair of suet white jade bottles, a crystal screen, a box of southern pearls each the size of a longan, and much more. In addition to this, Old Master Zhao had 100,000 liang worth of gold tucked away in the cellar. Collectively, these resources made it far from challenging for the Zhao family to amass the required 3.5 million. However, as he contemplated this extensive list, Old Master Zhao couldn't help but feel a pang of sorrow. These treasures had been accumulated over 2 or 3 generations of the family, with particular attention given to items purchased in the past decade. Each piece had been meticulously chosen for its quality. The idea of parting with them all at once was undeniably heartbreaking. Yet, Old Master Zhao momentarily lost sight of the fact that these valuable possessions shouldn't have been his to begin with. The Zheng family's funds rightfully belonged to the Zheng family, and he had benefited from them without restraint. Now it was merely a matter of returning a portion. Zhao Xu had not taken undue advantage of him. Both Zhao Yu and Zhao Yi were well aware of Zhao Mu's actions within the household. Even Zhao Yi, known for his pretense, couldn't conceal his discomfort upon learning that his father was expected to provide such a staggering sum. The same sentiment was amplified in Zhao Zhai. That's exorbitant. That scoundrel has crossed the line, Dad. 3.5 million liang is no small sum. Many families in Yangzhou have less than that. Is he not afraid of overreaching? Doesn't he realize he might choke on his greed? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1268. Forget it, we can't let him off so easily. Zhao Yi exclaimed. Dad, that's too much. 3,500,000 liang is not a small amount, and we need time to deal with it, right? How can we ask for so much all at once? Zhao Mu's heart skipped a beat. His second son was right. This way, they could carefully strategize and delay as much as possible. Handling this matter slowly would be more prudent in the long run. They could stretch it out over 8 or 10 years, and it would yield better results. However, when he thought of Madame Xiao, who was always soft-spoken and wore a perpetual smile, Zhao Mu couldn't help but feel uncertain. This woman was an enigma. Zhao Yi suggested. Dad, What if I consult with our strategist about this? Zhao Mu agreed. That's a good idea. Go ahead. Okay, wait for my good news. Zhao Zhai, who was seeking help from others, sneered. We've suffered a significant loss in this lawsuit, and the official can't afford to offend them. Let's not waste our efforts. He resented Zhao Shu for prioritizing his own family, but seeing how determined Zhao Yi was made him sneer. However, his constant opposition to his father, Zhao Mu, always infuriated him. It was no different this time. Zhao Mu was already quite frustrated. His second son was actively contributing to the family's cause, while their eldest son not only remained unhelpful, but also made sarcastic remarks. Zhao Mu shot him an angry glare and snapped, "Just be quiet. Your brother is working for the family's benefit, and what about you? You're not contributing anything but rudeness. Leave right now." Frustrated and furious, Zhao Zhai was expelled from his father's study. He lingered outside the closed door for a while before departing in anger. Why hadn't he been able to offer any assistance? He had been keeping an eye on family matters, but his injured leg made it inconvenient for him to contribute. Zhao Yi returned shortly after, wearing a dejected expression. It was evident that their initial efforts had not gone well. The strategist didn't provide a direct answer but rather remarked, "There are established rules for everything. We can simply adhere to these rules and spare ourselves unnecessary trouble, don't you think?" What he didn't disclose to his father was that he had paid the strategist 100 liang just to extract these words. The strategist's intentions seemed increasingly dubious. Zhao Mu remained silent for an extended period. The following day, Qiao Xian was given properties valued at 3.5 million yuan, along with divorce papers for Ms. Zheng. Qiao Xian had someone assess the value and handed over 10 IOU notes. The 3.5 million yuan included 26,000 mu of farmland and 53,000 mu of mountainous terrain, amounting to 550,000 liang in total. There was also 550,000 liang in cash. The two mansions were situated in prime areas of Hangzhou, one spanning 12 mu and the other 16 mu, with a combined value of 400,000 liang. The remaining balance was compensated with various valuable antiques. In any case, the settlement was even. Seeing such a substantial sum being taken away, Zhao Mu felt a profound sense of loss, as though a part of his heart had been hollowed out. His expression darkened. Qiao Xian smiled and remarked, "Old Master Zhao, you should be content. The original sum was supposed to be 7 million liang, but it has been halved. You haven't suffered any loss at all. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1269. Content. You should be grateful that young Master Zhao is such a devoted son. He willingly exchanged 3.5 million liang for his mother's freedom, showing his dedication to the Zhao family. Zhao Mu's expression darkened even further. His son's actions had betrayed him terribly. How could this be considered an act of filial piety? Holding the divorce paper, Zhao Shu's eyes welled up with tears, and even Uncle Qing let out a sigh. "That's wonderful." Zhao Shu carefully put away the divorce paper, forcing a smile. "We are no longer connected to Zhao Mu. Madam Xiao, thank you immensely for your help." With a bow, Zhao Shu expressed his gratitude. Qiao Xian, aware of his discomfort, smiled warmly. "Young Master Zhao, there's no need for such formality. We are business partners, and it's only right to support each other." "Madam Xiao, you're truly forthright." Zhao Shu smiled as he presented her with gifts. "Please don't mention it, Madam Xiao. I'm not taking your assistance lightly. Without Officer Xiao's guidance and Madam Xiao's support, I wouldn't have achieved anything." The gifts were substantial, and after discussing it with Xiao Yunduan, Qiao Xian decided not to return them. Although they were generous, they were not too burdensome for Zhao Shu. 300,000 liang, 26,000 mu in 2 days, and 12 mu of land. Qiao Xian planned to head south every year, when Zhao Shu began developing the floral fields in Hangzhou. Xiao Xian handed 300,000 liang to Xiao Yunduan along with 1,000 taels, advising him to use it wisely. In return, Xiao Yunduan gave Sun Qian and Sun Bai a letter to be delivered secretly to the crown prince. As trusted confidants of the crown prince with their own discreet channels, Xiao Yunduan had no worries about their ability to deliver the message. With a smile, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian shared a sigh. It was no wonder that the southern business families enjoyed such luxurious lives. They were incredibly wealthy. Look at Zhao Mu. He managed to amass a few million in a single night. Xiao Xian made some calculations and realized she had nearly 500,000 liang, but not many properties. She appeared to be quite wealthy herself. Satisfied with her situation, Xiao Xian had been in Yangzhou for a few days and was planning to visit Zhao Shu's floral field in Hangzhou before returning to her home in Yuzhong Heshan County. Upon hearing Xiao Yunduan's words, they both prepared to leave. Their reunion, even after a brief separation, was a joyous one, and their bond was as strong as ever. They had cherished their time together immensely. Xiao Xian couldn't stop gushing about the beauty of the southern flowers and willows. Xiao Yunduan, with a smile, nodded and held her close, reassuring her with affection. He had no intention of making his wife sad, and was committed to maintaining his honor. The two of them spent a couple of days visiting 100,000 mu of mulberry gardens together. Xiao Xian used her extraordinary abilities to ensure the mulberry leaves in the fields grew better that year, enabling the silkworms to thrive and produce more silk. The silk's quality was expected to be exceptional. In this way, she felt less guilty about receiving 40% of the profits. However, she knew that next year, her share would be reduced to 30%. This 30% would amount to approximately 300,000 liang, which she believed would suffice for any emergencies the crown prince might face. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1270. Hangzhou 2 days had come and gone, and during that time, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had spent an entire night together, reluctantly preparing to bid each other farewell. Xiao Xian cherished the unique dynamic between herself and Xiao Yunduan. Despite their physical separation and individual pursuits, they found solace in supporting one another whenever they could. This approach, they believed, was the key to sustaining their relationship and allowing it to thrive in the long run. All she desired was to find comfort in herself, a solace that would enable her to lead a fulfilling life after their impending separation. In Yangzhou, there were numerous tasks that required her attention, including the relocation of Ms. Zheng's grave, tending to the vast 100,000 mu of mulberry gardens, and establishing a tea plantation across 50,000 mu of land. Xiao Xian had requested Zhao Shu not to accompany her to Hangzhou, but to remain in Yangzhou with Uncle Qing, assisting in managing these two estates. She pondered the fact that Aunt Qing was in Hangzhou and considered traveling there with her. Zhao Shu contemplated this for a moment and, after careful consideration, decided against joining them. He understood the importance of avoiding any hint of impropriety. Officer Xiao was still stationed in Yangzhou, and it wouldn't be appropriate for him to keep Madame Xiao company. Despite the strong bond between Madame Xiao and Officer Xiao, the threat of baseless rumors loomed large. People tended to believe that where there was smoke, there was fire, and these rumors could be harmful without any basis in reality. It was an unexplainable situation, and Zhao Shu was relieved that he chose not to accompany them. Meanwhile, Xiao Yunduan was not just idly staying in Yangzhou. He had a demanding itinerary that required him to visit numerous cities in the south. So once Xiao Xian departed and their personal affairs were settled, he was ready to fully immerse himself in his work. Zhao Shu had been grappling with whether or not to report the management of the two estates and the mulberry garden to Officer Xiao. However, it became clear that Officer Xiao had little interest in these matters. They planned to share this information with Madame Xiao upon their reunion. With that, Zhao Shu went about attending to his own responsibilities. Meanwhile, there was entertainment to be had at the Zhao family's residence. The loss of such a significant sum of money had left Zhao Mu deeply unsettled. Both Xiao Zhai and Zhao Yi kept their distance, fearful of provoking his anger. Zhao Mu couldn't help but contemplate meeting Qiao Xian and finalizing the contract. He believed that some level of amicable rapport should exist between him and Madame Xiao, given the substantial wealth he was parting with. Madame Xiao had stated her commitment to paying the market price, and she appeared resolute in her decision. Yet the urgency of signing the contract weighed on his mind. Once the workshop commenced operations, there would be no turning back. The ramifications of any delays were too significant to contemplate. This year he might not succeed, but he planned to purchase fields for mulberry tree cultivation. In the following years, he would acquire silk, ensuring he was not as vulnerable as he currently felt. Zhao Mu set out to locate Madame Xiao, only to discover that she had departed Hangzhou. He wondered if and when she would return, though doubts lingered. The managerial responsibilities rested firmly in someone else's hands. Zhao Mu couldn't help but feel ignored by Madame Xiao, who hadn't spared him a moment's thought. She had entrusted the management of the vast 100,000 mu of mulberry fields to the manager. Chapter 1271. Manager Zhao Mu found himself heading towards the manager's office, not expecting what awaited him there. To his astonishment, the manager turned out to be none other than Uncle Qin. Shocked, Zhao Mu suddenly pieced together the puzzle, and his emotions swirled into a turbulent mix of shock and anger. Zheng Qing, tell me the truth, was this Zhao Shu's scheme from the very beginning? Madame Xiao purchased mulberry fields, didn't she? He used her to deceive me, didn't he? It was inconceivable that someone could acquire such vast mulberry fields with a mere 2 million liang. It was a clever ruse, flipping the left hand with the right. I can't believe it. That scoundrel. How dare he play such a trick on me? He even had the audacity to pass the contract to someone else to trap me. As Zhao Mu seethed with anger, a wicked satisfaction washed over Uncle Qin. Zhao Mu, the wealthiest man in Yangzhou, and his young master had no allies, being both father and son. They stood no chance against Zhao Mu. Unexpectedly, together with Madame Xiao, they had managed to outmaneuver Zhao Mu and take a substantial bite out of his fortune. Master Zhao, you've got it all wrong. Madame Xiao did indeed purchase a portion of the mulberry garden. She hired me to handle the transaction. What's wrong with that? Master Zhao, you've never suffered a loss before. You're merely venting your frustration. Why let this anger consume you? Moreover, if word gets out, it won't reflect well on you. Both Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were discreet individuals. Qiao Xian's brief visit to Yangzhou had sent shockwaves through the local business community, but she had vanished without a trace. The business elite continued to speculate about her origins. Uncle Qin had no desire to bring up Qiao Xian again. Zhao Mu merely snorted in response. He realized that spreading the rumor would not bode well for him. If it got out, he would find it difficult to face anyone, especially when he inevitably failed at the 500 meters and his son fell victim to outsiders' tricks. Zhao Mu shot an intense glare at Uncle Qin, his heart aching with anger. He was so infuriated that he couldn't find words to express his frustration. The audacity of Uncle Qin, a mere servant, to flaunt his influence in front of him. Zhao Shu, that scoundrel, must have truly crossed a line. He had contemplated confronting Zhao Shu, but the mere thought of it made his blood boil. So he opted to keep his silence. Despite his seething anger, he remained focused on the matter at hand. He had faced many grand challenges and storms in his life, and he couldn't afford to lose sight of his objectives. Observing Zhao Mu's rapid return to composure, Uncle Qin couldn't help but admire his ability to assess profit and loss. Madame Zheng simply couldn't match his business acumen. Uncle Qin made it clear that he wouldn't sign any contracts, reassuring Zhao Mu with a smile that Madame Xiao would undoubtedly uphold her promise. All he needed to do was be patient. When the silk hit the market, they would pay him the market price, without offering any discounts. Zhao Mu muttered under his breath. Even Uncle Qin dared to challenge him. If it had been Madame Xiao, Zhao Mu might have been more diplomatic, but when dealing with Uncle Qin, niceties were out of the question. Zhao Mu sneered. Very well, remember your words today. With that he departed. The mulberry garden still rested in Zhao Shu's possession, and he needed to amass sufficient funds to purchase the silk. His ungrateful son would make no exceptions for him. That much was certain. Chapter 1272. Shock Zhao Mu's heart ached once more as he reviewed the billing check. He knew he had to find a way to rectify this situation. So he decided to approach Ms.Qin, who was currently under his restriction. However, Ms.Qin was not at all inclined to cooperate. She had been grounded this time, and she wanted nothing to do with the matter. Initially, she hadn't given it much thought. After all, she had been managing the mansion for many years and had her trusted confidants. She didn't dare to venture out herself, but she had assumed that her maids and aunties could go out and handle her son's affairs. Unfortunately, none of her plans had panned out. None of her servants could leave the premises, and they couldn't come up with any convincing excuses to do so. Furthermore, her son and daughter-in-law were nowhere to be found. Ms.Qin was growing increasingly anxious. However, her anxiety turned to joy when Old Master made an appearance. She felt a sense of pride, knowing that Old Master cared for her deeply. She couldn't help but wonder what the future held. She decided to make Old Master happy, so she could broach the topic with him. Ms.Qin had always taken great care of herself, and her frail appearance seemed to attract the affection of men. She had a history of being mischievous, something Zhao Mu had once appreciated. But today he was not in the mood for it. He gently pushed away Ms.Qin, who was trying to entice him with her charms. Instead, he pressed her about Ms. Zheng's dowry. "Where did you acquire everything?" he asked with a cold and suspicious gaze. Ms.Qin's heart sank at the sight of his demeanor. She stammered. "Old Master, All right, there are no outsiders here, so there's no need to say this. Whatever transpired in the past, Old Master, I hold no grudges against you. It's all history now. Just tell the truth." Ms.Qin felt a bitter resentment building within her. The truth? She had already spoken the truth at least 8 or 10 times, but no one had believed her. Unable to hold back her emotions, Ms.Qin burst into tears, covering her face as her sobs racked her body. However, Zhao Mu found no amusement in her tears. Instead, he grew increasingly irritated. "Ms.Qin, what's this pretense for? If you want to speak the truth, don't force me to take action." Ms.Qin's crying only intensified. Old Master had always treated her well, so why did he suddenly doubt her this time? Desperation overcame Ms.Qin, and she knelt before Zhao Mu, performing kowtows while swearing that she was not involved in any wrongdoing. How could she admit to taking something she had never touched? Zhao Mu initially suspected she was putting on an act, but something didn't quite add up. When Ms.Qin made the promise, she seemed sincere and honest. She had no reason to conceal the truth at that moment. As Zhao Mu probed for more details, his expression changed as he recalled Madame Xiao's schemes, and he nearly lost his temper. He had failed again. Ms. Zheng must have had a change of heart and taken her own dowries back. She had likely been slowly moving her belongings out of the mansion, hoping no one would notice. That bitch. Neither the mother nor the son could be trusted. "Old Master, you finally believe me. Old Master, Zhao Shu is going too far. He's swindled so much money from you. We must reclaim it from him." Ms.Qin exclaimed. Zhao Mu let out a disdainful snort. Reclaim it? How could she recover what she had already given away? Chapter 1273. Petty revenge compared to the sum of 3.5 million liang. A few 100,000 seemed inconsequential. It was beyond infuriating. Zhao Mu seethed with anger, almost unable to contain himself. He was a seasoned veteran in the business world with decades of experience, confident in his ability to navigate any situation and outwit any adversary. Yet against all odds, he had fallen into the clutches of this mother-son duo. Fuming, Zhao Mu stormed out with an icy demeanor, his frustration simmering within him, nowhere to be released. Ms.Qin had lost her composure too. Once she gained her freedom, she stumbled upon the staggering compensation of 3,500,000 liang. Clutching her chest, she let out a heart-rending scream, the pain piercing her very soul. That money belonged to the Zhao family, to her son, and to herself. How could Zhao Shu arbitrarily appropriate such a significant sum? That wretched scoundrel has gone too far. He's absolutely insufferable. We can't let him off the hook so easily. Ms.Qin gritted her teeth and summoned her 2 sons for a conference. I've heard he's still in Hangzhou. No matter what it takes, we must teach him a lesson and force him to return every last cent. Ms.Qin's rage intensified, particularly upon discovering that Uncle Qing was overseeing the vast mulberry fields. It only fueled her fury further, as she suspected Zhao Shu's involvement. Their losses had been monumental. Zhao shared in the anger. He sneered. Who does that brat think he is? He won't need any tricks after I'm through with him. In fact, I'll give him a few extra lessons, so he understands that not just anyone can trample over us. Zhao harbored no qualms about a confrontation in Hangzhou. Zhao Yi, on the other hand, remained silent, his thoughts laced with inner curses directed at Zhao for his impulsive nature. What would be the purpose of physically assaulting Zhao Shu? Could it guarantee the return of the money? However, it couldn't be denied that Zhao Shu deserved some sort of retribution. If elder brother intended to confront him physically, there would be no objections. Ms.Qin had always excelled at subtle manipulation, and she found a sense of satisfaction in these sentiments. Indeed, he needs a stern lesson. Seek out individuals who can keep their mouths shut. Don't worry about the expense. Give them a thrashing and leave them incapacitated. But ensure they don't lose their lives. Humph, in Hangzhou, nobody will care about his well-being. Encouraged by his mother's support, Zhao wore a satisfied expression and nodded in agreement. Initially, Zhao had intended to carry out this plan with his trusted servants, but he bumped into his close friend, Brother Lin, who inquired about his intentions. Although Zhao had wanted to keep things hushed, Brother Lin's curiosity proved relentless, compelling him to spill the beans. He made it clear that the matter should remain confidential. Young Master Lin pondered for a moment, then grinned. Brother Zhao merely beating him up is child's play, too simple. Didn't you mention that his loyal servants control the 100,000 mulberry fields? What if we were to set fire to them? He. Zhao's eyes gleamed with intrigue, and he responded with a smile. You're absolutely right. Why didn't I think of that, Brother Lin? You're a genius. Young Master Lin joined in the laughter. Plan it meticulously and watch them suffer. Absolutely. Zhao treated young Master Lin to a drink, and set his plan in motion the following day. Since they no longer possessed the mulberry garden, if they couldn't have it, they were determined to ensure no one else could either. It seemed like a perfectly reasonable course of action. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.